My name is Leeway. I was walking alone in the park on a cold, rainy autumn day. My clothes were wet, and I felt miserable. I had lost my job, my girlfriend had left me, and I was sick. Everything felt hopeless. Then I heard a soft beep, and a gray card appeared in front of my eyes. Gray mist filled my vision, and glowing words appeared. They said I was now an apprentice farmer, and that I had to survive for 36 months in some unknown world. If I failed, I would lose everything. Before I could understand what was happening, the park vanished. I found myself standing in a green valley with forests and snow-capped mountains far away. The sky was blue, the sun was warm, and it looked like early summer. I looked down and saw that all my things were gone. No phone, no shoes, nothing. I was wearing a rough sack-like outfit and standing barefoot in mud mixed with cow dung. Near me were a few old huts, a broken ox cart, and a thin ox eating grass. A messy-haired woman was cooking something over a fire. She yelled at me, calling me George, and told me to go get firewood. She said, "Father needed a dry shelter." Somehow I understood her language perfectly. I looked into one of the huts and saw a sick man lying down with an older woman crying beside him. It seemed like I had joined a small refugee family. Then a status screen appeared in my mind, like a game. It showed my stats, and they were terrible. My health was at 20, marked severe illness. It said I had about 30 days to live. But here was the amazing part. I had 5 free points to spend. I put 3 of them into health right away. My health went from 20 to 50, and my illness changed from severe to chronic. My survival time jumped to 3 years. I laughed and cried at the same time. Back in my old world, the doctors had told me I had terminal cancer. Now, for the first time, I had hope. I decided to save my last 2 points for later and think carefully about how to use them. I calmed down and started looking around the camp. I figured out a few things. The ground was flooded from last night's rain, there were no drainage ditches, and the family had no real shelter. I knew I could not survive 3 years alone, so I had to help these people too. About 120 steps east, I found a small stream with clean water and many stones, some of them black, maybe iron ore. Across the stream was a thick, dark forest full of fallen trees and heavy mist. It looked scary, but the wood there would be useful. I stayed near the edge of the forest and gathered as much wet firewood as I could. I made ropes from wild grass, tied the wood into bundles, and carried them back to camp. I made several trips. Then, while I was working, I heard loud coughing from the camp. Before I could run back, I heard crying. My father in this world had died, just like that. We buried my father under a small mound of earth. Now there were only 3 of us left. Me, my sister Penny, and our mother Fira, who was also sick and very weak. Fira sat quietly in the shelter, too tired to even cry. She just stared at nothing, and I worried about her. But Penny stayed strong. She kept working and told me what to do. "George, after we eat, take the axe and cut some trees. We need to build a real cabin. The cart is broken, we lost our way, and we can't reach the province of Weir. We'll have to stay here. But at least we're safe from that terrible plague." I ate a bowl of thick, dark food from the pot. It looked awful and tasted like raw bran, but my stomach was growling, so I forced it down. We barely had enough. 1 bowl for me, 1 for Penny, and a small half bowl for Fira. After eating, my stats improved. My stamina went up to 80, and my strength and agility got a little better too. But the panel still said I had about 36 months to live. I checked the ox cart and found some useful tools under the tarp. A sharp axe, 2 hoes, something like a sickle, and a short knife with a chipped edge. Hidden deeper under 2 layers of tarpaulin were a small wooden box and 2 bags of wheat, all perfectly dry. I went quiet when I realized something. My father could have used the tarpaulin to keep himself dry from the rain. But if he had, the food would have been ruined. He chose to protect the supplies instead of himself. I took the axe and the short knife and headed toward the stream. Before cutting any trees, I gathered flat stones and laid them across the water to make a simple path. I did not want to wade through and risk getting sick. At the edge of the forest, I cleared weeds and vines with the knife first, making a safe workspace. I was glad I did, because a small snake suddenly struck at me while I was cutting grass. I swung my knife just in time and knocked it away. After that, I used a long stick to beat the grass before stepping anywhere. It took me over an hour to clear about 200 square meters. My stamina dropped to 60, and I was hungry again. Hunger was my biggest problem. I rested a bit, then picked up the axe and chose a tree about 15 centimeters thick. When I swung, my hands went numb and the blow was too weak. So I used my last 2 free points on strength, raising it to 7. The difference was huge. My swings felt strong and steady. After chopping from both sides, I pushed the tree and it fell with a loud creak. A message appeared in my mind. Logging experience 1. I smiled, but then I looked at my hands. 3 blisters had already formed. I cut a strip from my sackcloth shirt and wrapped it around the axe handle. It was not much, but it helped a little. The hard days were just beginning. By the time the sun passed its highest point, I was struggling to drag a single log across the stream. I had planned to cut 3 trees, but after 2, I was done. The blisters on my hands had burst, my palms were raw, and I had no energy left. My strength dropped to just 3 points. Dragging that 1 log back to camp, only 120 steps, felt like climbing a mountain. I had to stop and rest many times before I finally made it. Penny looked at me and said I should have used the ox to drag the wood. She had been busy all morning too, clearing land, carrying stones, and cooking porridge, but she still moved fast and seemed fine. I collapsed in the damp shelter. My body ached everywhere, and I could barely think, but I forced myself to get up and eat. There was 1 bowl of porridge in the pot, same as always. I wanted to complain, but I had no strength for it. Penny told me she had already dug the foundation for the cabin. She needed 10 logs within 2 days, and the house had to be finished in 3. Then she ran off to carry more stones. The afternoon was torture. Every swing of the axe sent pain shooting through my hands. Tears almost came to my eyes each time the trunk shook. But I did not quit. No matter how hard it was better than giving up. By sunset, I had only managed to cut 2 more trees. Then Penny came over with the old ox and tied a rope around one of the logs. The ox dragged it back easily. I had wasted so much energy doing it by hand for nothing. Back at camp, Fira had made wild vegetable soup. There was no porridge this time, but the soup was plentiful. I drank 2 bowls quickly. I was still hungry, but at least my stomach was not empty. We sat around the fire in silence. The dark mountains loomed around us, and the wind sounded like whispers. I was so tired I fell asleep right there by the fire. I woke up the next morning from hunger. My whole body ached like it was falling apart. Someone had covered me with a smelly sheepskin blanket. Fira was cooking porridge, and Penny was already carrying stones. She had moved more than 10 of them before I even woke up. I could not understand her. We ate the same food, but she had so much energy. It did not make sense. Fira called us to eat. She watched me lick every last bit of porridge from my bowl and gave me a sad, gentle smile. "Take care of yourself. Don't push too hard," she said. I grabbed my axe and knife and went back to the forest. The blisters on my hands had barely started healing, and they broke open again right away. Every swing hurt me as much as it hurt the tree. Several times I wanted to stop, but then I would see Penny walking past with another heavy stone on her back, still moving quickly. So I kept going. By noon I had cut 3 more trees. That made 7 total. I needed 3 more to meet Penny's goal of 10. Back at camp, I ate my porridge slowly. Penny grinned at me and asked if I could finish the last 3 logs by tomorrow. Something about her felt strange. She did not act like a normal person from this world. She was too strong, too skilled, too full of energy. But I pushed the thought aside. Deep down, I felt I should follow her instructions. She said the house had to be done in 3 days, and I believed her. Around 1 in the afternoon, the sun was burning hot. I rested until my stamina reached 80 and my strength returned to 7, then grabbed my axe and headed back to the forest. My body was a mess. My arms were swollen, my hands were covered in cuts, and some were starting to fester. But I did not care anymore. I had to finish those last 3 logs. My mother deserved a proper shelter, not a dark, damp shack. After 2 days of chopping, I had finally learned how to use the axe properly. I figured out how high to raise it, how much force to use, and how to move my body with each swing. Every strike had to count, because the pain was too much to waste any. I cut down the first tree using only 15 stamina points. The second one cost me 20, and my hunger got worse. Before, I would have collapsed at this point. But my will was stronger now. I refused to stop, even if I had to rest after every single swing. Just before sunset, I brought down the 3rd tree. My body was shaking so badly I could barely stand. Penny came with the ox, looked at me with a strange expression, and silently tied the logs and dragged them away. I sat there for a long time before limping back to camp. Fira had cooked vegetable soup and looked much better. Then my gray card suddenly appeared and vanished. Messages scrolled before my eyes. The house project was 1/3 done, site chosen, land leveled, foundation built, logs prepared. I earned 10 logging experience and 9 construction experience. They even deducted 1 point because I did not help move the logs. The messages also explained that experience points could upgrade my farmer card. 100 farming points or 200 logging or construction points would get me to 2 stars. But the biggest surprise was about Penny. The messages called her an Apprentice Craftsman. That meant she was not from this world either. She was a player like me, but with a craftsman card instead of a farmer card. That explained her impossible energy and skill. She had earned 20 construction experience in less than 2 days. I wanted to ask her about it, but I remembered the warning about not revealing anything that did not belong to this world. Penny had not said anything to me either, which told me she was being careful too. She was clearly more experienced than me. Then something happened that really opened my eyes. Penny came over with herbs and offered to treat my blistered hands. She sounded so caring, like a real sister. But a message popped up. Apprentice Craftsman offers to sell you healing herbs. Pay 1 construction experience to purchase. What a touching family moment. But I had no choice. My hands were nearly infected. I paid the point and she applied the herbs. Then things got even worse. Another message appeared. Fira, my so-called mother, was charging me for the meals she had cooked over the past 2 days. 3 bowls of porridge cost 3 experience points. 4 bowls of vegetable soup cost 2 more. 5 points of my logging experience, gone just like that. Fira was a player too. She had a cook card. And if she was a player, then the father who died yesterday was probably one as well. What a lovely family. I had worked myself half to death for 2 days, and after all the fees and deductions, I only had 5 logging experience and 8 construction experience left. This mission was not simple at all. That night, I slept in the musty little hut with just a sheepskin blanket. I could not sleep because of all the worries in my head, and the mosquitoes ate me alive. By morning, my body was covered in itchy bumps. But the good news was that Penny's herbs really worked. My hands were healing, and calluses were starting to form. I was finally becoming a real worker. I washed up in the creek and came back to eat Fira's wheat porridge. I looked at Fira carefully. She was maybe 40 or 50, with gray hair and worn clothes, but a hint of dignity. She looked like someone who had not always been poor. But there was something fading about her, like she was running out of time. Penny was the opposite, small and thin, but bursting with energy. She told me not to waste time. Today was important. I had no idea how to build a house, but Penny knew exactly what to do. While I finished eating, she chopped the thin ends off all 10 logs and cut them to different lengths. Her axe swings were powerful and precise. I guessed her strength was around 10 points, plus bonuses from her craftsman card. She told me to dig 4 deep holes where she had marked. I picked up the heavy shovel and started digging. To my surprise, it went much easier than chopping wood. My body felt stronger and smoother, maybe because of my farmer card bonus. I finished the 4 holes before noon and still had energy left. Together we lifted thick logs into the holes and packed them tight with soil. I got 1 construction point each time I helped fill the holes. The 4 logs formed a square frame about 5 meters on each side. Inside, the ground was covered with stones for the foundation. Behind it, Penny had built a stone wall against a small slope. I understood her plan now. 4 log posts plus the stone wall made 6 supports total. We placed 2 long beams across the top, then layered thinner logs over them. Without a fancy roof, the structure was simple enough. After lunch, Penny took out a small box from the cart. 8 rusty iron nails, each about 30 centimeters long. But then Fira sent me a bill for experience points. Way too expensive. I looked at Penny, and she glared at me like she would use the nails on me if I refused. So I paid. Those nails were worth it, though. We hammered the 2 main beams into place, and the house finally had a real shape. I earned 2 more construction points. I asked if there were more nails. Penny rolled her eyes and just pointed at what needed doing next. She acted exactly like an experienced gamer bossing around a beginner. We lifted thinner logs and tied them with ropes. Penny had cut the ropes from my old shelter. When that ran out, she cut up her own. We covered most of the top beam. Just one more layer, and some grass and mud mix would finish the roof. But the sun was already setting. The house could not be done today. Then the rewards came in. The project was 2/3 complete, worth 60 total construction points. I got 20. That meant Penny got 40, double what I earned, even though I gave up my own shelter for the ropes. I did not complain. The system decided the split, not Penny. She was just smarter about how the rules worked. I would learn too, step by step. At least everything was moving in the right direction. That night, I sat by the fire wrapped in my sheepskin blanket, feeling more relaxed than before. My body was getting used to this life. I was almost falling asleep when a message shocked me awake. Penny had triggered something called a story event. She wanted Fira to die from illness within 24 hours. The system asked if I agreed. It warned that no matter what I chose, agree, refuse, or ignore, I would lose 20 experience points. Before I could think it through, another message came. Fira had triggered her own story event. She wanted Penny to be bitten by a snake and die within 24 hours. I was stunned. These two had been sitting together peacefully just moments ago. Now I understood. The father who died on my first day was probably eliminated the same way, through a story event the two women voted on together. And when he was removed, a new player was added. That new player was me. I had 3 choices: side with Penny, side with Fira, or refuse both. Penny was young, strong, and useful. Fira was weak and sick. Logic said I should pick Penny, but she was too controlling. If I helped her remove Fira, she might turn on me next. I thought it over carefully and rejected both events. I did not want anyone to die. It cost me 20 construction experience points, and I probably made both of them unhappy. But it was my choice. After I decided, both women acted like nothing happened and kept dozing by the fire. The night passed quietly. Nobody was bitten by a snake. Nobody got sick. Life went on. The next morning, Fira cooked porridge as usual and charged me for it, of course. After all the fees and last night's penalty, I had only 5 logging experience and 6 construction experience left. 3 days of hard work, and the 2 of them had taken almost everything. I realized the rules now. Players could not fight each other directly. They could not talk about anything outside the story. They had to act like a real family. But they could use story events to remove each other. It was all about scheming and trading. After breakfast, Penny asked me something surprising. She wanted my opinion. She said we could either use logs for walls, which was faster, or build stone walls with mud, which was slower but stronger. I said we should use logs. Stone walls would be Penny's specialty, and she would get most of the experience from it. Besides, Fira's health was getting worse, and I wanted the house done quickly to protect her. Keeping Fira happy also meant she would be less likely to team up with Penny against me. But Fira spoke up and disagreed. She said rain was unlikely for a few days, and that stone walls were the better choice. She told Penny to handle the building and told me to collect firewood and hunt for food. Penny agreed right away. The 2 of them were suddenly on the same side. I nodded and went along with it, but I added one condition. I said I wanted to keep cutting trees too, because we would need a wall around the camp and space to plant crops. When I said that, both Penny and Fira paused. Their faces showed strange expressions I could not read. That's fine, Fira said gently. But don't overwork yourself, George. Your health isn't very good. Standing by the stream with the axe on my shoulder, I finally started to understand how this whole task worked. The 3 of us were playing a family escaping danger. We had to live peacefully and help each other. That was the main rule. I could not just attack Penny with my axe, for example. The story moved forward based on our choices, like a role-playing game with no fixed plot. Penny's role was an apprentice craftsman, so her story followed that path, building things. My role was an apprentice farmer, so I needed to push for farming-related events. If I did not, my farmer skills would be wasted before I got eliminated. It was like a farming simulation game, except 3 people were giving orders. The one who became head of the family would have the most power. I knew what I had to do: gather firewood, hunt, chop trees, and build a wall, all before Penny finished the house. I started by clearing the leftover branches and treetops from the trees I had cut earlier. I carried them all back to camp to dry. After a whole morning of work, I got a message saying I had collected 1 unit of firewood. Since nobody told me to do it, and it was not part of any storyline, I only earned 1 gathering experience point. But I could donate the firewood to the family and earn 1 family contribution point. The tip explained that contribution points raised my status in the family. With enough points, I could start a voting storyline or avoid being targeted by one. I donated right away, but I did not keep collecting firewood. Penny would earn plenty of contribution points once the house was done. I needed logging and construction experience more, so I went back to chopping trees. My hands were covered in calluses now, and my swings were smooth and strong. By noon, I had cut 2 trees and earned 2 logging points. We ate lunch in silence. Whenever all 3 of us were together, talking could trigger a storyline, so nobody spoke. After lunch, Penny rushed back to moving stones. She could feel me catching up, and it pushed her to work harder. Instead of chopping trees right away, I spent an hour clearing thick grass at the edge of the forest with my short knife. This drove away snakes and gave me more room to work. It also gave me an idea. When autumn came, I could harvest grass, dry it, and store it as winter food for the ox. But first I would need to build a shed. The hay would be my own property, just like the cart supplies belonged to Fira. While cutting grass, I found some ripe berries. Eating them gave me 10 stamina points. This forest was full of treasures. After resting, I chopped 3 more trees before sunset. That brought my total logging experience to 10, plus 1 in gathering and 6 in construction. After paying 2 points for daily food, I still came out ahead, as long as those 2 did not cause trouble. At dinner, we drank wild vegetable soup without a word. Penny and I slept by the fire while Fira stayed up to keep watch and feed the flames. I figured even that job earned her experience points. As a mother in the story, she would never let her children get cold or be bitten by snakes at night. I slept well and was even getting used to the mosquito bites. The next morning, Penny went back to carrying stones. I guessed the wall would take her 3 to 5 more days. We were both racing against time. I walked around the house to mark where my wall would go. The soil was soft and easy to dig. All I needed now was a good design. I headed to the forest, tapping the ground with my stick as always, and started cutting more trees. By noon, I had cut 3 more trees and trimmed them. I set the thicker branches aside for building the wall later. At lunch, Fira told me to go hunting, but I ignored her. I was not a hunter, and hunting depended on luck. The house and wall were more important. That afternoon, I kept chopping. My skill had improved a lot. I learned to use the twist of my waist for power instead of swinging with full strength every time. 3 swings now did what 5 used to do, and I used only 80% of the energy. It felt natural, like real skill. I cut 2 more trees, making 10 total. Then a message appeared. 10 logs counted as 1 unit of lumber, and since nobody told me to cut them, they were my personal property. I could keep them or donate them to the family for 2 contribution points. I donated without hesitation. My total contribution reached 3 points, and new options opened up. With 3 points, I could start a story event vote, block 1 aimed at me, or buy a Happy Family card that would protect me from someone's story events for 30 days. But starting a vote would reveal my role to others. Before dark, I broke down the branches and treetops. 10 trees also gave 1 unit of firewood. Everything could be donated. Over the next 2 days, I donated another unit of wood and 2 units of firewood. My family contribution reached 7 points. I no longer had to worry about being voted out. At the same time, I had made everyone think I was a lumberjack. That was on purpose. At dinner, Penny smiled and thanked me. She had used 20 of my donated logs to strengthen the house and add another layer to the roof. She asked about my plans for the wall and offered to help. It sounded friendly, but I knew she was really competing for story progress and experience points. I played along like an innocent little brother. I told her we could build the wall together and that she could take the axe tomorrow. She hugged me and said I was becoming a real man, that she felt safe with me protecting her and mother. We almost felt like a real family, except we still had to pay for meals. By my 7th day, after food costs, I had 7 contribution points, 19 logging experience, 3 gathering experience, and 6 construction experience. The next morning, Penny took the axe, and I took the shovel. The tools were free to use since they belonged to the family. But Fira's wheat and small boxes were still her personal property. She had never donated them. Sometimes I wondered why the mission was designed this way. Why could we not just be friends? Why all the scheming? What did any of it have to do with this awakening they mentioned? It had been 8 days, and I was finally about to be a farmer. My trick had worked. By chopping trees nonstop, I made Penny and Fira believe I was probably a trainee lumberjack. So today, Penny took the axe without suspecting anything. She probably would not give it back for days. That was exactly what I wanted. Now I could clear a piece of land and start farming. I needed to create a fact that could not be changed, to push the story toward farming before Penny finished her building work and steered everything toward handicrafts instead. I had already picked the spot for my farm, right next to our first shelter, 100 steps from the stream and 30 steps from the new house. The ground was a bit higher than the water and mostly flat, good for watering and harvesting later. I did not start plowing openly. Following Penny's earlier suggestion, I dug pits every 3 steps, pretending to prepare holes for the wall. But really, I was removing grass and expanding the area bit by bit. 10 pits across and 10 pits down, then I connected them. A square field about 30 meters wide started to form. Before noon, Fira noticed what I was doing. She watched me turning the soil with a serious look, but said nothing. When Penny came back for lunch, she was furious. Her eyes looked like she wanted to tear me apart, but she kept her voice calm and asked why I was not building the wall like we agreed. I played innocent. I said that while digging the pits, I realized I could also prepare a small wheat field. It was summer, and if we planted early, we could harvest in autumn. I asked Fira what she thought. Fira saw Penny's angry face and quickly sided with me. She smiled and said farming was more reliable than hunting and that I had really grown up. Right then, Fira sent me a trade message, 3 kilograms of wheat seeds for 20 experience points. The price felt steep, but I had no choice. I paid all 19 of my logging points and 1 gathering point. Penny stayed quiet. She could not object without breaking the story rules, because starting a farm made perfect sense, just like when she started building the house. After lunch, I stopped hiding and began digging up grass and turning soil openly. The work was just as hard as chopping wood. The grass was thick with tangled roots, and my tools were not great. I managed about 100 square meters a day, earning roughly 1 farming point for every 5 square meters. Then, by evening, disaster struck. My shovel broke in half. I had pushed too hard. The break even cost me 1 family contribution point for damaging a family tool. I sat in the dirt feeling discouraged. I had only cleared about 150 square meters, far less than I had hoped. My situation was getting tight. 6 contribution points, 30 farming experience, and 2 construction experience. If I could not keep earning, I would not even be able to pay for meals. Penny walked over and sat beside me, putting her arm around my shoulder. She told me not to feel bad, said she had broken the axe handle too. Her voice sounded caring, but her eyebrows were twitching and her face was so smug I could tell she was enjoying my trouble. I wanted to slap her, but I held back. If I lost my temper, I would fall into her trap. After dinner, I paid 2 construction points for food and then spoke to Fira. I told her I wanted to plant wheat. She smiled gently, went to the cart, opened a wooden box, and scooped out wheat with a square scoop. 3 scoops, shaking each one hard. The small bag she gave me weighed no more than 5 pounds, and it was not even full. She was incredibly stingy, but I could not argue. I carried the bag to my field. Under the starlight, I used a hoe to dig furrows about 5 centimeters deep, planted the wheat, and covered it with loose soil. I had never farmed before, but I understood the basics. The soil was moist, and my farmer card talent should help. It was a real gamble. After working late into the night, I finished planting everything. But I did not dare sleep. I stood by the field holding a stick, guarding against mice or wild boars that might come eat my seeds. I watched all night until dawn. Just as I was about to collapse, messages appeared. My farmland was recognized. Thanks to my farmer talent, the field's fertility was boosted by 30%. The expected germination rate was 98%. I earned 15 farming experience points. The system told me I could donate the wheat field to the family for 5 contribution points. It also warned me that the full growing cycle, germination, growth, heading, and harvest, would take 3 months. During that time, anything could go wrong and destroy the crop. I decided not to donate the wheat field. It was mine, and I wanted to keep it. After breakfast, I rushed to build a fence around the field using thick wooden sticks I had prepared for the wall. They were about 2 meters high, not many, but enough to surround 150 square meters. I even planned to add a stone wall later. By noon, the fence was done, and I felt relieved knowing no wild animals could reach my seeds. I was about to take a nap when messages flooded in. Penny's house was finally complete. But since our father had died and there was no family head, the house belonged to Penny personally, not to the family. I earned 20 construction experience points for my part in the work and got the right to sleep in the house for free. Fira, who had not helped build it at all, would have to pay rent, though she would earn a tiny bit of experience from it. Then came the real shock. Penny launched a story vote to eliminate me. She wanted me to die from dysentery within 24 hours. And Fira agreed to it. Both of them voted against me. But the system saved me. It automatically spent 3 of my family contribution points to cancel the vote, and I received 30 days of protection from any more story votes. I was furious. I almost lost control. But when I looked at Fira dozing peacefully by the fire, I forced myself to calm down. Story votes were part of the rules. I could not fight them, only adapt. I wrapped myself in my sheepskin blanket, walked into the new house, and slept. That was my right, and I used it. I slept until sunset and woke up feeling strong. Outside, I noticed about 50 mud bricks near the camp on land I had planned to farm. Penny had made them. She was already starting her next project, probably a kiln to fire bricks and smelt iron. I figured her craftsman card had upgraded to 2 stars. Her advantage over me was growing. Now I understood why she wanted me gone. In a family with limited resources, you cannot develop both industry and farming at the same time. One side has to give in. We were both players trying to upgrade our core cards, so conflict was unavoidable. This was a fight over which direction the family would take. By the campfire, Penny asked me to help her build the kiln tomorrow. It sounded like a normal request, but I knew what it really meant. Her final warning. Submit or be eliminated. Since our father was dead and Fira was too sick to lead, the role of family head would be decided between Penny and me. I thought about giving in. I did not have to be the leader, but siding with Penny meant I would eventually have to vote against Fira, and a new player replacing her would bring more trouble. So I refused. Sorry, Penny. Tomorrow I plan to go into the forest to hunt rabbits. We need more food. It was a fair excuse. Our food was running low, and 2 bags of wheat would not last forever. Penny gave me a long look. Be very careful, dear brother. The forest isn't just full of snakes. Fira said nothing. She did not support me or oppose me. Lying by the fire that night, I thought things through. Fira voting against me was not about eliminating me. It was about keeping me weak. Her logic was simple. Weaken the competition to strengthen yourself. Family contribution points had to be the key to becoming head of the family. Penny wanted that position badly. But Fira might be playing the long game too. She cooked every day, which meant her cooking experience was growing fast. She might look weak and harmless, but she could be the real mastermind. I needed to watch her carefully. After dinner, Penny and Fira went to their rooms. I received a message. I earned 0.2 cooking experience from Fira paying rent, and I paid 2 construction experience for my meal. It was the first time I had earned proper income. I decided not to sleep. Instead, I squatted by the fire and carved 3 wooden spears from straight sticks. I sharpened one end of each and buried them in hot ashes to harden the tips. I remembered reading about this method in a novel once. I was not sure if it would work, but it was all I had. My axe was broken, so I could not chop trees for experience. Hunting and fishing were my only options now. That night, I lit a bonfire near my wheat field and stood guard again. The seeds had not sprouted yet, and small animals could easily dig them up. I stayed awake until dawn. When Fira got up to cook, I went inside the house and napped in a corner on my sheepskin rug. When I woke, Penny was already working outside. She was building her brick kiln right next to my wheat field, blocking any future expansion. I did not let it bother me. I ate my porridge, grabbed my knife and spears, and headed downstream along the creek. I wanted to try fishing first. It was safer than hunting in the forest. I followed the stream for about 2 miles. The land flattened out, and the creek widened to about 50 meters. It was a beautiful spot. I poked the shore grass with my spear to scare away snakes. I did not find snakes, but I startled 2 big wild ducks. I threw my spear at them, but missed. I was disappointed until I found their nest, 8 wild duck eggs. My eyes lit up. I had been eating half rations for days, but I held back from eating them. Instead, I wove a small basket from branches and grass to carry the eggs. I could donate them for family contribution points. I cleared the shore grass with my knife and set up a small camp. Then I waded into the creek with 1 spear. The water was only knee-deep, but it was full of fish, some as long as 30 centimeters. others just a few centimeters. Loaches, maybe grass carp too. Trying to spear fish was useless. So I went back to shore and wove a few rough nets from flexible branches using a simple three-prong method. Then I moved stones to build a small enclosure in the river, about 10 square meters, and sealed the edges with my nets. After that, I used my spear to chase fish into the trap. They were slippery and fast, and it took a lot of effort. But eventually I caught 5, 2 big ones and 3 small ones, at least 2 gene total. I threaded them onto branches, feeling proud. Fishing could help fill my stomach in the future. Then I stopped. Something was wrong. I had caught 5 fish worth more than a bowl of porridge, but I had not received any experience points at all. That made me nervous. If the system was not counting these fish as my reward, maybe going out to hunt triggered some hidden storyline I did not know about. I decided to stop fishing. I picked up my 5 fish and headed back to shore. Today's hunting was over. That night, I received my first real income, 0.2 cooking experience from Fira's rent payment. My total was looking decent. 3 family contribution points, 45 farming experience, 18 construction experience. I stayed up carving 3 wooden spears by the fire, hardening their tips in hot ashes. With my axe broken, hunting and fishing were my only ways to earn experience. I also guarded my wheat field again until dawn. The next morning, Penny was already building her brick kiln right next to my field, blocking any expansion. I did not care. I ate my porridge, grabbed my spears and knife, and headed downstream. About 2 miles down, the creek widened to 50 meters. I poked the shore grass to scare away snakes, and startled 2 wild ducks instead. I threw my spear but missed. Then I found their nest, 8 eggs. I was starving, but I held back and wove a little basket to carry them. Contribution points mattered more than a full stomach. I waded into the knee-deep water. It was full of fish. Spearing them was useless, so I wove rough nets from branches, built a stone enclosure in the river, and chased fish into the trap. I caught 5 grass carp, at least 2 gene total. Then something felt wrong. I had not received any experience points. As I carried the fish toward shore, I stayed alert. Good thing I did. A thin, dirty animal shot out of the grass like lightning. I thought it was a dog at first, but then I realized it was a wolf. My body went ice cold. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would burst. I almost lost control of my bladder. But I forced myself to think, do not run or you die. Fight it. I screamed and charged at the wolf with my trembling spear. The wolf circled but did not attack. It just watched me with cold eyes, then dodged behind the grass and ran away. I was shaking and soaked in sweat. I grabbed everything, fish, eggs, spears, knife, and waded back upstream through the creek instead of walking the bank. I was too afraid of an ambush in the tall grass. When I reached camp, the experience messages finally came. The system only counted my harvest when I brought it back safely. I earned 1 gathering point for the eggs and 10 fishing points for the carp. I donated everything to the family right away. Fira praised me and cooked fish soup with wheat porridge and duck eggs. The food was free since I had donated it. We ate until we were stuffed. I had 5 big bowls. Penny had 6, and even sick Fira managed 3. That afternoon, I reinforced my wheat field fence with stones from the creek. If wolves lived nearby, wild boars might come too. By evening, dark clouds rolled in. A heavy rainstorm hit after dinner. My wheat field was safe. I had built drainage ditches and a low stone wall. The house held strong too, but Penny and Fira were in trouble. Penny rushed to save her drying bricks, losing some to the rain. Fira chased the old ox, which had broken free and run off in panic. Then a message appeared. Fira had donated her cow to the family, earning 10 contribution points. I was stunned, then heard her screaming for help near the creek. I grabbed my spear and ran into the pouring rain. When I found her, there was no cow at all. The wolf from earlier had knocked Fira down and was trying to bite her throat. She had donated the cow just to make us come save her. Clever woman. I shouted and the wolf turned on me. It lunged. I could barely see through the rain, but I pointed my spear forward and felt it sink deep. The force knocked me flat on my back. The wolf was dead, run straight through. Messages flooded in. 5 contribution points for saving a family member. 15 hunting experience for killing the wolf. 2 more contribution points for donating the carcass. My family contribution jumped to 11. It felt like hitting the jackpot. I carried Fira back to the house. She was covered in blood and barely conscious. Penny knelt beside her, sobbing and wailing. She had not come out in the rain, which was understandable in the story. I took off my wet clothes, wrapped myself in my blanket, and went to sleep. Health came first. Penny cried for a while, then slept too. We both assumed Fira would die by morning. But when I woke at dawn, Fira was gone from her corner, and there was no body. I rushed outside. There she was, standing by a bonfire, boiling wheat porridge. The wolf had already been skinned and cut up. She smiled at me warmly. Her wounds had scabbed over, and she looked completely different. Healthy, strong, full of life. Healthier than me. I understood immediately. She had been secretly saving experience points without spending them. When the wolf nearly killed her, she used everything to boost her health attribute. The weak, dying mother act had been a performance all along. Penny came out and looked like she had seen a ghost. Then Fira spoke calmly but firmly. She said we needed to build a strong fence, a cattle shed, a storage house, and clear more farmland before winter came. Before Penny could argue, messages appeared. Fira had donated 10 kilograms of wheat seeds to the family and was now using head of family authority. Her contribution points had reached 20, the highest of anyone, so she became family leader for 1 month. The head of family could assign work to everyone. Tasks given under this authority earned double experience and 5 contribution points. But all story vote events were paused until the work was done. I could choose to build a wall, a cattle shed, a warehouse, or clear 1 acre of farmland. Fira had been the mastermind all along. Fira had become head of the family. I was shocked. She was a seasoned player all along. Penny stared at her for a few seconds, then calmed down. I'll build the wall, cattle shed, and warehouse. George, you farm the land. I had no choice but to nod. Without craftsman skills, farming was all I could do. Fira smiled sweetly and called us to eat. Come on, my children. Both Penny and I felt a chill. This woman was a real expert. After breakfast, Penny repaired her wobbly axe and headed to the forest. She needed wood for the wall and buildings, and she was not going to share the logging experience with anyone. My problem was worse. My shovel was broken in half. The only farming tools left were 2 flat hoes meant for weeding, not breaking ground. Fira had taken the short knife after the wolf attack. Penny always slept clutching her axe. I cursed silently. Fira was limiting me on purpose. But refusing the head of family's task meant consequences. I had no choice. I wrapped sharp stones in wolf hide around the broken shovel pieces and knelt on the grass, digging like a madman. It was painfully slow. My arms and back screamed with soreness. Eventually, I found a better method, digging from underneath like a groundhog. Instead of cutting through the tough grass roots from above, I made a side cut, hollowed out the soil beneath, then kicked the grass layer off. I moved the grass chunks to the field's edge to form a dirt wall. By the end of the first day, I had cleared about 20 square meters and earned enough farming experience to cover my meals. It was exhausting, but I kept going. That night, a message woke me. My first wheat field had entered the germination stage, 97% success rate. I earned 15 farming experience points, bringing my total to 64. I smiled and fell right back to sleep. The next morning, I saw my wheat had sprouted tender green shoots. It was beautiful. Green really is the color of hope. Days blurred together. I dug, ate, slept, and dug again. I felt like I was turning into a groundhog. Penny chopped 10 trees a day while I only cleared about 20 to 30 square meters. She earned far more experience than me. At meals, the mood was tense. Penny looked like she was burning inside, ready to fight for head of family next month. Fira sat calmly like an old spider. I felt like a nobody, completely trapped by my farmland. At my pace, it would take over a month to finish. I could not get involved in their power struggle, but I kept pushing. Every day I got a little better and a little faster. By the 5th evening, my farming experience finally hit 100 points. My hands were trembling with excitement. I summoned my 1-star farmer card and poured all 100 farming points into it. Stars flickered and merged like a dream. The card upgraded to 2 stars, and warmth flowed through my whole body. I was promoted from Apprentice Farmer to Farmer. My land fertility bonus jumped from 30 to 40%. I received 5 new free attribute points. To reach 3 stars, I would need 1,000 farming experience, 10 units of standard world resources, and a bronze clearance token. Standard world resources. That was the second requirement for passing the mission. 1 unit of them. They were not ordinary things like wood or wheat. They might be gold or silver. Getting them probably required trade with the outside world, which meant the head of family position truly mattered. I thought about Penny wanting to develop handicrafts. Maybe she understood this already. Standing by my wheat field under the firelight, holding my wooden spear, I decided I still needed to compete for family head eventually. But not yet. Let Fira and Penny fight first. I would watch and learn. My farmland was my foundation. I calculated the timeline. About a month had passed since I arrived. Summer had maybe 2 months left. My wheat could grow through early autumn and be ready for harvest in the second month. Then winter preparations would begin, storing firewood, hay, repairing the house, gathering food. Finally, I used 3 of my 5 new attribute points on health. It jumped from 50 to 80, from chronic illness all the way to healthy. The change was incredible. Warmth spread through me. All the fatigue, pain, and weakness vanished instantly. I felt like I was 18 again, full of energy. Even walking felt like I could bounce off the ground. I still had 2 free points left. I would save them for later. This was the best I had ever felt in my life. I checked my stats. Everything had improved. Stamina hit 100, strength rose to 8, agility to 4, defense to 3. My expected lifespan was now 40 more years, meaning I could live to about 70. If I ate well and rested enough, maybe even longer. I still had 2 free attribute points. I thought about putting them into strength or agility for future fights. But I decided the real enemy was the harsh environment, not other people. So I put both points into health. At 90, the status said, full of vitality, but at 100, something amazing happened. The text glowed golden. I had achieved level 1 awakening. The awakening gave me resistance to colds, flu, heat stroke, and toxins. My injuries would heal faster. And the best part, even if I failed the mission and lost everything, I would keep half of my awakened health. That meant 50 health points back on Earth. Not terminal cancer anymore. Just a serious illness I could survive. That alone made everything worth it. I checked my other stats. They all showed, not awakened, meaning any attribute could reach this level if it hit 100. Strength specialists, agility specialists. It seemed like the system was heading toward combat eventually. With my new health, I could ignore mild hunger and slight malnutrition. My survival ability jumped up. But I was not special. Penny and Fira had both reached level 1 awakening in health long ago. That explained their impossible energy. I went back to farming. With my improved body, I could now clear about 40 square meters a day, earning 8 farming experience points. Double what I managed before. Days passed. I dug and dug. When I had cleared nearly 400 square meters, a message arrived. Penny had finished building the fence, cattle shed, and warehouse, all the tasks Fira assigned. Fira called me to help push the broken ox cart into the new warehouse. It seemed like a small thing, but then Penny made her move. She donated her house to the family. That earned her 8 contribution points, and I got 2 because I had helped build it. Now the family owned a house, a fence, a cattle shed, and a warehouse for basic structures. The camp officially upgraded to level 1, and the family could add 1 new member. Within 24 hours, a new player would join. The system chose his role based on the family's current situation. The new member would be Penny's fiancé, named Sam. Penny's counterattack had arrived. She had spent 12 days building everything, upgraded her card to full craftsman, and her contribution points probably passed Fira's. Next month, she would likely become head of the family and push the whole camp toward industry. Meanwhile, I had only cleared 400 square meters in those same 12 days. I was falling behind, but I could not worry about their power struggle. I needed to plant my seeds before it was too late. I went to Fira and collected 7 kilograms of wheat seeds. This time she did not cheat me. The seeds were for the family's shared field. I dug trenches with my hoe and sowed everything across the half-acre of new farmland. After planting, I earned 30 farming experience points, bringing my total to 70. Upgrading to a 3-star farmer card still felt impossibly far. It needed 1,000 farming experience, 10 units of standard world resources, and a bronze clearance token. That last one could probably only be obtained in the next mission world. For now, I just had to keep growing what I could. I thought about what I needed to do to pass this mission and kept farming until evening. When I returned to camp, I saw a gray mist drifting outside. A figure appeared, a young man, thin but taller than me. The new player had arrived. Sam, Penny's fiancé. Penny threw herself into his arms, kissing him wildly, trying to show him their relationship. But Sam looked completely confused, just like I did on my first day. Then he opened his mouth and ruined everything. Who are you? Why am I here? Is this the main god's reincarnation world? Are you a veteran player or an NPC? The words poured out like a machine gun. Penny waved her arms frantically trying to stop him, but it was too late. He had not read the warning message. His face went pale as he realized his mistake. He was not eliminated, but he would definitely be punished somehow. Penny grabbed his hand and introduced everyone. Fira was our mother, I was her brother George, and Sam was now part of the family. She squeezed his hand so hard his face turned green. After chopping 10 trees a day for weeks, her grip was like iron. The hint was almost cheating, and she might get punished for it too, but at least Sam would be her helper until he figured things out. She dragged him into the house without another word. Soon I heard sounds that were not meant for my ears. Bold woman. I did not go inside. I had just finished planting the family wheat field, and without fences around it, I had to guard the seeds all night. Small animals love freshly buried seeds. I lit 3 bonfires at the edge of the farmland and patrolled with 2 wooden spears. The night was full of sounds, insects, wind, distant howling. I thought about going back. This was a public field, not mine. Why risk so much? But I pushed that thought away. The harvest from this farm would be our most important food for winter. I had to protect it. Then I froze. About 30 meters ahead, at the edge of the field, I saw a pair of glowing green eyes in the firelight. Then a second pair. Then a third. My hair stood on end. Wolves. A pack of them. But this time I did not panic like before. I ran to my own wheat field where the fence stood and the campfires burned brightest. I pressed my back against the wooden fence, held my spear out, and stared them down. The wolves moved closer together, testing me. But they could not find a way in. Behind my fence was Penny's stone wall, and the camp entrance was blocked for the night. The cow was safe in the barn. I had nowhere to retreat, but I also had nothing to fear from behind. There were about 5 wolves. We stared at each other for half an hour. Finally, facing my spear and the bright fires, they gave up and melted back into the darkness as silently as they had come. I was terrified. I did not patrol anymore. I just sat by the fire, listening, not moving until dawn. When morning came, Fira was cooking in the yard. Penny and Sam were already up, building a brick kiln together. They were working on a small iron furnace, real craftsman work that I could not even begin to understand. Penny had finished all her head of family tasks, so now she could spend time on her own projects. Her plan to develop handicrafts had been delayed by half a month, but she had a batch of dried bricks ready to go. Sam was clumsy and still getting used to everything, but he worked eagerly. The system was probably giving him positive feedback for helping. I watched them and felt a little envious. But all I could do was keep farming and wait for my turn. At breakfast, I told everyone about the wolves I saw last night. Sam turned pale immediately. Penny just laughed and said she could chop them with her axe. Fira showed no reaction at all. She either was not afraid or did not want to trigger a news story event. I slept until late morning and woke up feeling great. Fira was already out gathering with the cow, not worried about wolves at all. Penny and Sam were working on their kiln. I decided to build a fence around the public wheat field. I did not want to patrol at night and face wolves again. I grabbed wooden sticks from the family woodpile, pushed them into the ground, smashed them deeper with a stone, and tied them together with grass ropes. It would not stop a wild boar, but it could keep out small animals. I finished the whole fence in one day. My body felt incredible after the awakening. Even at my lowest point in the evening, my stamina stayed above 50. After dinner, I recovered fully in half an hour. I could easily work 3 days and nights straight if I needed to. Sam, meanwhile, had barely done anything all day and was already exhausted like a dead dog. Penny's brick kiln was built and burning with black smoke and tall flames. Her craftsmanship was impressive. I offered to help her with the night shift, hoping she might repair my broken shovel later. But she smiled sweetly and told me to go rest, with a hint of sarcasm in her eyes. Too late to flatter her, she seemed to say. I went back to farming. With my improved body, I could clear 40 square meters a day now. I had about 260 square meters left to finish the 1-acre task. The wolves howled that night. I slept fine, but the others were terrified. Fira gripped her knife, ready to fight. Sam was shaking and nearly breaking down. Penny stayed up all night, burning her bricks. The next morning, I took a rusty hoe from the cart and weeded my personal wheat field. The plants looked lush and healthy. With my 40% fertility bonus, I expected about 200 pounds of wheat from just 150 square meters. After weeding, I spent the next 4 days finishing the public farmland. 1 full acre, finally done. But it had taken me an entire month because of my terrible tools. I had used up all my saved experience and fallen behind both Penny and Fira. Competing for head of family seemed impossible now. Then the reward message came. I earned 100 farming experience points and 5 family contribution points for completing the task. My total contribution reached 18. But the moment the task was marked complete, the story votes started pouring in, just as I expected. Penny wanted Fira to be bitten by a snake within 24 hours. Fira wanted Penny to be struck by lightning within 24 hours. Penny also wanted me to be bitten by a wolf within 24 hours. And Fira wanted Sam to be hit by a rock within 24 hours. The two of them had been waiting for this moment. Now that the head of family work was finished and story events were no longer paused, they were going after each other and dragging me and Sam into it too. Wow, these two troublemakers are really crazy. They are attacking everyone indiscriminately. Do they even want to finish the task properly? Compared to the first time experiencing a plot kill, Leeway is now much calmer. He didn't rush to make a choice, but left the farmland and returned to his simple small house in the sunset glow. As expected, Fira had already prepared dinner. Penny was happily eating, as if nothing had happened. Only the newcomer, Sam, looked terrified and confused. When Leeway appeared, Sam looked at him desperately, blinking wildly for help. But Leeway couldn't help him. He ignored him and went to serve a bowl of wild vegetable soup, eating it happily. A family should be harmonious and loving like this. But he had already made his choices. He refused Fira to be bitten by the poisonous snake. He agreed for Penny to be struck by lightning. He refused for Sam to be hit by a rock. He refused for himself to be bitten by the wolf pack. However, he did not initiate a plot kill himself because he was not qualified to compete for the head of the family at this moment and didn't want to waste family contribution points. Yes, the real reason Fira and Penny are initiating plot kills now is to drain the other's family contribution points and compete for the head of the family. It's that simple. Soon, the plot kill voting results came out. They were quite close. In the option where Fira is bitten by a snake, there was 1 vote for, 1 abstention, and 2 against. This was expected because the newcomer Sam was probably feeling overwhelmed. Before this, he thought this was just an ordinary farming and management game. So, he likely cast an abstain vote. But I believe he will grow quickly. Then, in the option where Penny was struck by lightning, 2 votes supported and 2 votes opposed, making it invalid. In the third option, Leeway would be bitten to death by the wolf pack. Unsurprisingly, 2 votes supported and 2 opposed. It seems that 2 troublemakers voted yes, while he and Sam voted no, so this also became invalid. In the fourth option, Sam would be hit and killed by a stone. There was 1 vote supporting and 3 opposing, so Sam wouldn't have to do anything and could continue to live. It's clear that this young man let out a long sigh of relief, but Penny's gaze at him was sharp for a moment. She didn't achieve her goal. In this round of 4 story choices, she and Fira each used 6 family contribution points, but it ended in a tie. That was really frustrating. She wanted to compete to be the head of the family this month. Without reducing Fira's contribution points, how could she compete or develop her career path? George, I know you've been working hard on the farm lately, especially without proper tools. Do you still have that iron shovel? Once Sam and I finish building the blacksmith shop, I'll help fix it first. Also, for hunting, we need some sharp weapons. The wolf pack you saw last night will definitely threaten us sooner or later. Penny spoke casually, as if she was chatting about everyday life. But in reality, she was hinting at a new story. Her words weren't nonsense. Like lines in a movie, once spoken, they naturally set the scene. Others had to have a good reason to refuse or suggest otherwise, or they would have to agree because it made sense. How hard was it for Leeway to farm the land? As an older sister, shouldn't Penny notice and care deeply, losing sleep over it? This was also Penny's way of trying to win him over. Meanwhile, Sam was still confused, but Leeway nodded happily. Great. I need an iron shovel and at least a small knife. His response was perfect. The short knife in the family was currently with Fila. If he wanted to hunt, he definitely needed a small knife. No problem. But I need you and Sam to go upstream to the creek tomorrow and find some black stones. I think they can be used to smelt iron. Penny spoke again. There are indeed some black stones in the creek, though I'm not sure if they are iron ore. But I think they should be fine. As a professional craftsman, Penny wouldn't mistake them. Leeway and Sam both nodded at the same time. Sam almost thought the family was becoming harmonious again, but he didn't realize that Leeway and Penny had made an agreement. The next moment, Penny triggered a new story event and looked sharply at Sam. Professional craftsman initiates a story event, hoping that Mother Fila will be bitten by a poisonous snake within 24 hours. Do you agree? A friendly reminder, whether you accept or refuse, you do not need to spend experience points, and your choice will have a deep impact on future story missions. This time, Leeway didn't hesitate and chose to agree. It's a deal, after all. A few seconds later, the result of the story event was announced. 2 votes in favor, 2 votes against. The event was cancelled. What? Sam. Sam actually voted against. He had previously abstained. Leeway was stunned and couldn't help but look at Sam, who just a moment ago was anxious and uneasy. Now he was quietly drinking vegetable soup, acting as if he knew nothing and no questions. Wow, this guy is not simple. He's quite skilled. He quietly tricked Penny into spending 3 family contribution points. But since Fila didn't trigger the event, she gained an extra 3 points. If she donates something now, becomes the head of the family, and issues a main family quest, it's a sure thing. This would determine the future direction of the family and could earn higher ratings in the evaluation. Sure enough, the next moment, Leeway received a message. Professional chef has decided to donate her 5 units of wild vegetables, dried mushrooms, and other supplies to the family. She gains 5 family contribution points. Her total family contribution is now over 20 points. Because she has the highest contribution, she will become the head of the family. Wow, 5 units. Leeway immediately looked at Penny. If she wanted to turn the situation around now, she could only donate her small kiln. But Penny didn't react at all. She wasn't arguing anymore. It seems her family contribution isn't enough. Leeway thought for a moment. Penny and Fila had previously voted wildly for plot twists because both families contributed equally, so there was no clear new head of the family. Then Sam betrayed them, which meant he lost 3 points of family contribution compared to Fila. So even if her small brick kiln was more valuable, there was no need to donate anymore. She lost again this round, but she remained very calm. At this moment, Fila looked at Penny with a kind and loving gaze, then gently said to Leeway and Sam, "Penny has been working hard lately. She is a good girl, just a bit stubborn. Luckily, our days here are getting better. You can also help share the burden. I think we need to prepare for winter. George, Sam, you are young and strong. Go hunt some game in the valley, but be careful of the wild wolves. I feel they mean us harm." As Fila finished speaking, a series of messages appeared in front of Leeway. The professional chef is exercising the authority of the head of the family. The head of the family believes the current family development should focus on hunting and gathering to prepare for winter, but since she did not consult everyone first, some family members disagree, which will lower her reputation. Warning: tasks assigned by the head of the family are top priority. Unless unavoidable or outside of rest hours, do not do unrelated work before completing them. You can choose to go hunting or gathering, or do both. Once you reach 10 units of task completion, the task is finished, and you will get double experience points and 5 family contribution points. Friendly reminder: all plot voting and related activities will pause until the tasks assigned by the head of the family are completed. Friendly reminder: exercising the authority of the head of the family that benefits the family's future development will increase your overall evaluation. If not, it will decrease. And so, everything settled. Penny said nothing more and went straight back to her room to rest, and Fila did the same. However, Leeway and Sam are not asleep yet. Sam is still carving a wooden spear beside the campfire. This time, Philadelphia happily handed over her small knife. Since she chose the hunting and gathering route, she can't just refuse to share her small knife. Sam sits across from the fire, holding a large wooden stick, lost in thought. "George, I think we should go deeper into the forest tomorrow. A couple of days ago, I saw a deer," Sam says, trying to take the lead. He seems to have understood the true meaning of this game. Logic, reason, and more reason. And he really did see a deer. I prefer fishing. There are many fish downstream in the creek, and there are wolves in the forest. We're not strong enough to deal with them yet, so it's too dangerous, Leeway replies without looking up. He has seen fish, and even caught some himself. Sam's attempt to take charge is far from convincing. But they have different ideas, so Sam insists, we need more prey. George, in winter, your sister might have a baby. You'll be an uncle. Wow, he's going to be an uncle. Leeway looks up in surprise, not because he finds it funny, but because he finds it shocking. Sam is pretty clever. Not clever enough to make Penny pregnant, but quick to find excuses. Yes, a new family member is a big deal. Although there's only a small chance, as Penny's brother and the baby's uncle, Leeway can't ignore it. If he pretended not to care, it would go against the story's logic, like a stupid TV plot that viewers would criticize. After all, they are a loving family. This clever move leaves Leeway with no good way to oppose it. Thinking for a moment, he says, the forest is too dangerous, and that wolf pack might ambush us. We need to be fully prepared. Of course, leave this to me. Can I borrow your small knife? Sam stands up, takes the small knife from Leeway, and heads to the simple storage shed. Soon, he returns with a makeshift bow and 3 bowstrings. Penny is truly talented. Do you know how to use this hunting bow? Sam says with a smile. Leeway shook his head, but inside he was thinking that Penny, being a professional craftsman, could easily make a simple wooden hunting bow. So, she must be both skillful and perhaps a bit lacking in brains. Also, is Sam a hunter by profession? No wonder he's so confident. Little brother, I need some materials to make wooden arrows. Can you help me find some? Sam sat confidently, looking quite like a brother-in-law. Leeway didn't say anything more. Talking wouldn't help now. The control had already shifted to Sam. Besides, when going hunting outside, it's best if the two of them work together. All the gains would be fairly shared according to the unspoken rules. The wild outdoors isn't a place for whims. Later, they worked through the night. Leeway helped Sam make 20 wooden arrows without feathers and 4 wooden spears. Only then did he go back to his room to sleep. The next morning, Leeway woke up and found he was alone in the small house. He didn't think much of it. It was around 5 in the morning, the usual time he woke up. Fira should have already cooked porridge, and Penny and Sam. Wait, Leeway quickly stepped out of the house and saw that Penny and Sam were no longer in the yard. More importantly, the 4 wooden spears he made last night and the simple hunting bow were gone. In the yard, only Fira was still carefully cooking porridge. Seeing Leeway come out, she smiled and said, "My poor child, you must be exhausted from working in the fields lately. It's okay, take a rest today. Your sister and Sam went out hunting before dawn. Come, have breakfast." Damn it. Leeway's mind was pounding. He was furious. But he quickly calmed down. Getting angry would only make him lose control, and that wouldn't help. At this moment, he finally realized that he still didn't fully understand the core of this task. Without allies, one moment they are allies, and the next they might betray each other. Because everyone plays different roles and has their own profession. For example, he is a farmer. To grow better, he must find ways to earn more family contribution points and aim to become the head of the family, then plan development related to agriculture. For Penny, as a craftsman, she would prioritize developing handicrafts and blacksmithing. Fira is a cook, so the development path of hunting and gathering is closely related to her. Sam is very likely a hunter, which can complement Fira's cooking skills. Understanding this is important to see why, last night, even though Sam betrayed Penny, making her very angry, today he still chose to leave Leeway behind with Penny. She wanted to complete the main quest given by the family head faster, so she would have more time for her own tasks. Last month, Leeway was slowed down because he was busy farming. If he is again delayed this month by hunting and gathering tasks, his main career development will be very difficult. This is a silent war, without visible smoke or blood. Thank you, Mom. I'm not tired. Can I go gathering with you today? Leeway quickly adjusted his attitude. The most urgent thing is to finish the hunting and gathering tasks quickly. Sure, there are many wild vegetables and mushrooms in this valley. This season is perfect. For example, in the valley to the west, there are lots of wild mushrooms. On the northern hill, there's a large patch of yellow flowers. If you go further, you'll find many ferns. Fira looked at Leeway with love and generously introduced the gathering spots and types of wild vegetables around the valley. She was like a kind mother. The professional cook has taught you gathering skills and related knowledge. You have paid 5 farming experience points. You now have 118 points left. Leeway was used to this. After breakfast, he led the old ox, carried the large wooden stick Sam left him, and took a bag. Since he chose gathering passively, he also had to take care of the cattle. As for Fira, she said she was a bit tired today and wanted to rest. The head of the family can be a bit willful. But just as Leeway led the ox to a relatively open grassy area, suddenly a few blood-red messages flashed before his eyes. Family member Sam was attacked by a wolf pack and died. Family member Penny saw him die, but did not help, and ran away alone, losing 5 family contribution points. The family development plan set by the head of the family, Fira, caused serious consequences. Her abilities were questioned, and her evaluation scores dropped. From then on, within a month, she could only trigger plot kills if she contributed 2 points to the family, but she needed 4 points to be exempt. Similarly, any plot kill she initiated also required 4 family contribution points. Warning: the wolf pack has tasted blood from Sam and become more aggressive toward you. Warning: the main family quest has been forcibly changed to deal with the wolf problem. Until this issue is fully resolved, all family affairs will be on hold, and no plot kills can be triggered. Wow. Leeway no longer dared to slack off. He immediately pulled the old ox back toward the camp. Just outside the camp wall, he heard the howling of wolves from the forest across the creek. Penny ran very fast, shouting for help as she ran. This scene was very shocking. George, stop hesitating. Hurry and save your sister. At this moment, Fira rushed out of the wall, holding 2 wooden spears. She threw one to Leeway and then charged forward like an angry butcher or a true mother. But Leeway knew that Fira was trying to fix things. Past disagreements didn't matter now. If Penny died at the wolves' hands, everything would be lost, and no one could complete the mission. So, there was nothing to say. When faced with danger, the brave must fight. Leeway gritted his teeth, picked up a spear, and ran with them. Only 3 wolves came out of the forest. The other 2 hadn't appeared yet. Thinking with his toes, Leeway knew what they were doing. So, this might be a good chance to attack. As he ran, Leeway thought about this and also appreciated how fast Fira was running. Without a doubt, whether Fira or Penny, their basic attributes were probably stronger than his. Just as they were about 20 meters from Penny, a larger, sleeker gray wolf suddenly sped up and pounced on Penny, biting her throat. If it caught her, she would be in serious danger. Fortunately, Penny reacted quickly. Even though she was knocked down, she immediately used her elbow to block the attack, but her arm was bitten hard. Ah! Fira shouted loudly, her voice distorted, and she charged forward like crazy, as if she had entered a state of excitement or was recalling the moment she was attacked by that old wolf. Leeway also sped up, but he remained quite calm. Maybe it was because he had dealt with wolves before, or perhaps because he had once killed an old wolf. Anyway, he even had time to think that these wolves seemed different from the ones back home. They were more aggressive and, unlike typical wolves, they weren't afraid of humans with wooden spears or loud noises. Had they never been scared by upright apes? Or was it a problem with the game's rules? Maybe this world was a low-magic world with different background rules? While these thoughts flashed through his mind, the gray wolf that had knocked down Penny didn't loosen its grip. The other 2 gray wolves also showed no fear. One ran straight at Penny's legs, but Penny kept kicking wildly and couldn't land a hit. Another wolf snarled and ran toward Fira. Die! Fira, holding her wooden spear, panicked and stabbed. The gray wolf leaped lightly, dodging the attack, then quickly circled around her and lunged like lightning. Leeway saw everything clearly from behind. It was a perfect, seamless move, smooth as flowing water, immediately knocking Fira to the ground, showing what a true hunter was. But this gray wolf didn't bite Fira. After knocking her down, it used her as a stepping stone and jumped directly toward Leeway, who was right behind her. It was really impressive. However, Leeway was calmer than Fira. Most importantly, he had seen how this wolf faked its moves before. Yes, he had stepped on Fira's shoulder, making her help him avoid the attack. That was his small advantage. So, even though he roared loudly and seemed frantic, he actually stabbed his spear out in a quick, jerky motion. He twisted his waist, took half a step back, pulled his spear quickly, and then adjusted his aim for a full-force thrust. He was in a peak state he'd never experienced before. Over the past month, his hard work had sharpened his body. His allies helped share the wolf's damage, avoided traps, and helped him see through the enemy's fake moves. In a way, this was the benefit of being reactive. At the moment Leeway's spear was about to strike, the gray wolf dodged lightly, trying to use the same trick again. But unexpectedly, Leeway also faked his move. As soon as it landed, before it could launch a lightning-fast attack, Leeway's full-force spear thrust arrived. It wasn't so much that his speed was too fast, but that Leeway had chosen the perfect moment and predicted accurately. Damn beast, it was just a beast after all. The gray wolf tried to escape to the side, but it was too late. Leeway's wooden spear pierced into its soft belly, and because he applied too much force, it even went through to the other side. The gray wolf let out a sharp cry, sped up to break free, almost causing Leeway to stumble. But as always, Leeway had changed. Nearly 2 months of hard work had improved his coordination and stability. So he didn't panic. He held the wooden spear tightly, and at the moment he stabilized his body, he pulled the spear out of the wolf's belly. Blood splattered, the gray wolf howled in pain, and with its tail between its legs, it ran away in a panic. At this moment, the second gray wolf finally felt fear. It no longer tried to attack Penny and turned to run. Only the stronger first gray wolf still tried to bite Penny's arm, trying to drag her away. But seeing Leeway charging fiercely with his bloodstained spear, it hesitated, loosened its grip on Penny's arm, and tried to retreat. At this moment, Penny suddenly burst with great strength and courage. She grabbed the wolf's neck and threw it to the ground. What a perfect assist! Leeway charged forward and pierced the gray wolf's belly with his spear, then stabbed again into its heart. Blood gushed out. This was the first kill of the battle. You saved a family member. You earned 5 family contribution points. Your current total is 23 points. However, since the wolf problem task is not yet complete, you cannot become the head of the family. You killed a strong adult gray wolf. You earned 45 hunting experience points. The wolf problem task progress is 1/4. Warning: this progress is not fixed and will change over time or as events unfold. Friendly reminder: in the wolf problem task, gray wolf bodies belong to the family collectively, but the person who kills the wolf will receive double experience points. 2 messages flashed quickly, but Leeway paid little attention. He simply let go of the blood-stained wooden spear, as it was no longer suitable to hold. I casually wiped my hands on my clothes, then turned to pick up the wooden spear that Fira had dropped on the ground. I immediately headed into the forest, determined to kill the injured gray wolf. As for Fira, after being knocked down again, she seemed more frightened than ever. Penny, with at least a dozen wounds on her body, though none were fatal, had been running for her life earlier. She had also helped out just now, and was completely exhausted. "George, don't be reckless. Come back quickly. We can think of a better plan," Fira finally shouted. But I paid no attention. I quickened my pace. I only had one chance. The injured gray wolf would surely die soon, but I couldn't let it die to other animals or bleed out somewhere else. I needed the experience it would give me. At this moment, I wasn't reckless but very rational. In fact, the more I chased, the faster the 2 wolves ran. They ran ahead of me, even scaring away snakes and other creatures. After crossing a small stream and reaching the edge of the forest, the injured gray wolf finally collapsed. The other wolf let out a sharp, mournful cry, looked back at me, then dashed into the woods like the wind, too afraid to face me alone. A few seconds later, I rushed forward and used my spear to kill the injured wolf. I then decisively dragged its body back with me. Almost at the same time, several messages quickly appeared in front of me. You have killed an ordinary adult gray wolf. You gained 30 hunting experience points. Wolf problem task progress, February 4th. This is the 3rd gray wolf you have killed. Your courage, strength, and skills have been proven. Do you want to take a step further? You will receive a 1-star hunter card to unlock a second profession, but the conditions for passing the task will change. Huh? A hunter card? That's a pleasant surprise. Of course, I wouldn't refuse. I was eager to get it. The next moment, it was as if time froze again. Gray mist rolled in from all around, then quickly dispersed. A gray card floated in front of me. identical to the farmer card I had seen before. When I reached out to take the hunter card, it suddenly disappeared. Instead, a strange warm flow surged into my heart, and a new power was brewing inside me, as if I had gained something extra. At the same time, a series of messages appeared. You have linked a 1-star hunter card and automatically gained 5 free attribute points. You have been promoted to Apprentice Hunter. You have acquired a talent. Passive increase of 30% in ranged weapon accuracy. You have entered the corresponding world, which has a 1-star difficulty level. World background, unknown. Mission requirements. Survive for at least 36 months and gather at least 5 units of standard world resources. Mission reward, unknown. Mission penalty for failure. Remove farmer card and hunter card, erase related memories, and send you back to your original world. However, considering human kindness, 50% of your life attributes will be retained after awakening. This is truly great. For a moment, Leeway really wanted to rush into the forest and defeat those 2 gray wolves. As an apprentice hunter, and with 5 additional free attribute points, he felt himself becoming noticeably stronger. But Leeway quickly calmed down. The forest isn't as open as a valley. Once he enters, he will face more than just 2 wolves. Additionally, after this fight, his stamina dropped to 10 points, and he felt his legs trembling. He would need at least 1 or 2 hours to recover. Yes, stamina doesn't recover immediately once it's used up. So, everything still needs careful planning. Leeway carried the wolf's body and retreated. Meanwhile, Fira and Penny worked together to drag the other wolf back to the camp. None of the 3 said anything. After Fira treated Penny's wounds, she hurried out to handle the 2 wolf carcasses, as the hot weather could cause them to spoil quickly. Leeway went to the creek to wash up, then picked up the fallen wooden spear. After resting for over an hour and fully restoring his stamina, he drove the old ox to graze near the camp and used a sickle to cut grass. Although the wolf problem isn't fully solved, other tasks can still be done. Grazing cattle and cutting grass are possible, but he must stay alert and avoid distractions. The valley became very quiet. Occasionally, from deep in the eastern forest, wolf howls sounded, sharp and eerie. These wolves probably weren't calling for friends, right? Leeway had this thought sometimes, then hurried to cut grass even faster. The wild grasses in the valley grow well thanks to the abundant rain. Leeway spent the day cutting grass around the camp, clearing a large area. The grass he cut was enough to feed the old ox for several days. Leeway's actions had a purpose. The old ox needs to eat grass every day, and someone must watch over it. If wolves attack while grazing, it would be very unfair. Also, cutting grass helps clear the view, making it easier to spot wolves sneaking nearby. At sunset, Leeway herded the old ox back to the camp. While hurriedly bringing a bundle of grass back, he suddenly heard wolf howls again from the east forest, and this time, they were very close. "George, come back quickly. The wolf pack is here again." Penny, looking pale, shouted loudly from behind the camp wall. She was injured earlier and couldn't do much, but she still stood on the ox cart in the afternoon, looking out to warn Leeway. The wolf problem forced them to unite for now. Almost at the same time, a silent message appeared. Warning, because the Wolf King was not killed, the wolf problem will change over time. Current progress, February 6th. Wow. 2 more wolves appeared out of nowhere. Leeway ran quickly, ignoring the grass he was cutting. When he reached the camp and climbed onto the ox cart to look out, he saw 4 gray wolves rushing toward them, acting very boldly. One of them was a big black wolf, strong and fierce-looking. Its eyes were cold, and when it looked at Leeway, he felt like it was hiding a person inside. That was hatred, hostility, and a challenge of life and death. Leeway felt a chill in his heart from that black wolf. Penny whispered nearby, her voice bitter. She felt the same, but didn't know what to do. "Why are there 2 more wolves now?" Fira also ran over, her face pale and looking like she was breaking down. For wolves, how can they continue like this? She probably regrets everything now. Fortunately, because of the wall, the 4 wolves couldn't rush into the camp. However, they lingered nearby for a long time, wandering around as if searching for a way in. Luckily, even the 2 farmland plots outside the camp were fenced off by Leeway. Although the black wolf looked very clever, it probably didn't think about destroying the farmland. "Penny, how did Sam die?" "That poor child," Philadelphia suddenly asked. He shot and killed a gray wolf in the forest with the hunting bow I made for him. He was very brave, but then he was ambushed by that black wolf. I was so scared I ran away. Penny whispered, tears falling down her face. She looked up at Leeway and said, George, I am injured now. Sam is gone, and my mother is old. Everything at home depends on you. Leeway didn't say anything or wait for new information or storylines. Without solving the wolf problem, family development is impossible. Penny was really ruthless, and Sam was truly foolish. He didn't believe Sam would intentionally try to leave him. They had discussed the details last night, but this morning Penny convinced him otherwise. Tonight, I will stay on watch. Penny, George, you should go back and rest well. Take care of yourselves, Philadelphia said. She then lit a few bonfires in the yard, not only to scare off the wolves, but also to cook wolf meat. George, tomorrow I will try to make you a hunting bow. It's a pity. If we had built a smelting furnace, I might even be able to craft a crossbow. George, in the future, there will be more dangers besides wolves. We must find ways to protect ourselves. In the evening glow, Penny spoke very seriously. Leeway listened carefully. Learning from past mistakes is important. Philadelphia's attempt to seize control and set a wrong development path was a mistake that must be learned from. This was a strategic error. Meanwhile, Penny and Sam underestimated the enemy and acted impulsively, leaving Leeway behind, thinking they could handle everything themselves. That was a tactical mistake. All right, I will find a way to gather iron ore for you. Leeway nodded. In this situation, only by setting aside differences and working together can they succeed. It's clear that the family currently needs craftsmanship, whether it's farming, logging, or hunting. The saying goes, a craftsman must sharpen his tools before doing good work. Must we repeat this lesson several times before understanding? Since there was no task to become the head of the family, they could only rely on themselves to coordinate and manage things. I still need more wood because we also have to make charcoal. George, I need you, Penny said with a sincere look. Leeway just nodded. Until the wolf problem is solved, all new family resources belong to the family, not to individuals. So, there's no need to worry about Penny's charcoal, the smelted iron, or the blacksmith shop she builds. They all belong to her. In this way, the wolf problem actually turns out to be quite good. Fira can't jump around anymore, and Penny has to accept this situation. Leeway has now become the biggest winner. He doesn't even need to worry about plot twists. After dinner, Leeway went back to his room to rest. As he lay on the poor blanket, a thought crossed his mind, and he saw in his mind's eye his weak attribute panel. This time, he bonded with a 1-star hunter card and gained 5 free attribute points. That was great. So, how should he allocate these points? After thinking for a long time, Leeway first spent 2 free points to raise his strength to 10. Unfortunately, this did not trigger a level 1 awakening. 10 points of strength should be enough to catch up with Penny. No, I mean, to catch up with a normal adult man, he thought. Leeway considered that, because of his late-stage cancer, his body had been very weak, and his strength was low, which is why Penny could easily overpower him. 10 strength points should be the passing mark for a normal adult man. In theory, to trigger a level 1 awakening, he would need at least 20 strength points. Even if he added all 3 remaining free points to his strength, could he gain a significant advantage over the wolf pack? Could he turn the tide and sweep away the enemies? Probably not. So, I need a body that is more coordinated, stable, and balanced. Especially now that I've activated my second profession, hunter, not warrior. I can't just fight recklessly, he thought. With this in mind, Leeway immediately used 2 more free points to raise his agility to 6, because agility is very important. As for the last free point, after careful consideration, he decided to add it to agility as well, reaching 7 points. After all, facing a wolf pack, having strength alone isn't enough. His body's reaction speed must keep up, and he also needs to make good use of his profession's talent. 30% accuracy with ranged weapons. Next, he had a good sleep. Even though wolves howled all night, it didn't affect him at all. The next morning, Leeway woke up feeling refreshed and full of energy. His whole body felt healthy and lively, like a tall, strong tower. It was rare to feel this way. He quickly got up and did dozens of push-ups in one go. When he came out looking the same as before, he saw Fila and Penny seemed to have stayed awake all night. They looked very tired, with dark circles under their eyes. These animals have learned to bother us. But you slept really well. Penny looked at Leeway with a hint of meaning in her eyes. Is your arm okay? Leeway asked, showing concern like a family member. He's trying to act caring. Penny forced a small smile. It's not serious anymore. But we need some time to go out and hunt wolves. So don't worry. Once I'm better, we'll go together. Last night, those animals howled outside the camp all night and even tried to break the fence and jump over. But this morning, they were gone. Very clever. George, you must be careful and not act rashly. I understand, George replied. Leeway nodded again. He went to one side of the house to take care of his personal matters. When he returned, he saw Fira and Penny each pulling on a corner of a tarp, carefully pouring the dew from it into a water jar. There was quite a lot. There were 3 tarps in total, collecting nearly 3 liters of dew. Leeway had only heard about this method before, but had never seen it. It seemed these two were very clever and thoughtful, knowing water might be hard to find today and planning ahead. Next, Fira divided the dew into 4 parts, about 300 milliliters each. The rest was used to cook porridge and prepare breakfast. It's worth noting that last night, Fira had smoked and dried all the wolf meat with fire. Today, they still needed to continue drying it, which used a lot of firewood. Leeway walked around the yard, feeling worried about how they would survive the winter. The house still needed reinforcement and better insulation. They had to stock enough firewood and food. If possible, the camp's walls should be strengthened further. They also needed some weapons and warm clothes for everyone. Although he could theoretically live to 90, in harsh snow and cold weather, he could still die suddenly. Any small mistake can be deadly because this is not a game. Breakfast is still being cooked, so Leeway drinks his share of dew and picks a few suitable sticks from the firewood pile to start carving a spear. This is currently their best weapon against the wolf pack. However, Penny brings over a slightly different wooden spear. George, this spear is for you. As she speaks, a message appears. A skilled craftsman has gifted you a finely made wooden spear. Due to their profession, this spear deals slightly more damage. Well then, Leeway is naturally quite happy. As they say, specialization matters. Comparing his own carved spear with Penny's, it's clear they are not the same. The difference starts with the material. Penny's spear is perfectly straight, without knots, quite hard, well-balanced, and easy to hold, like a top-tier, handsome, wealthy person among wooden spears. It's almost like a piece of art. Don't be surprised. I'll cover your weapons from now on. Penny says seriously. Of course, Leeway doesn't believe her. Even if Penny keeps her promise in the future, he would need to give up some benefits. Half an hour later, Fira finishes cooking. Breakfast is quite hearty and free. There's porridge and roasted wolf meat, though it's a bit bland. Our salt supply is running low. It will last at most 2 months before running out. This place is remote, so no merchants will come. If we get the chance, we need to buy some outside the mountains, but it's unlikely we'll find any. The plague is spreading quickly. While eating, Fira casually mentions this. Leeway and Penny don't respond. Family matters are hard enough, especially in such a wilderness. Actually, Leeway wants to ask whether they should keep moving toward that Vale province, but he doesn't dare. After breakfast, Fira and Penny go back to their rooms to rest, and they specifically tell Leeway not to act rashly. Of course, he won't act rashly. Although it's daytime now, he can't see where the wolves are hiding. If he's ambushed, he'd be unfairly blamed. But luckily, he still has other things he can do. Crossing the wall, going into the farmland to weed, and planting wheat on the remaining half-acre of land is Fira's idea. Although it's almost July now, any harvest is good. Anyway, his skills as a professional farmer are still very helpful. The wheat in both fields is growing strong and healthy. So, there's no need to hide anymore. Fira and Penny already guessed that his profession is a farmer. They worked until noon, and the wolf pack didn't show up. When Leeway jumped back to the camp, Fira and Penny had woken up and come outside. We need to go get water. People can endure, but the cows need water. Penny, you stay on high ground to watch. George, you cover me. Fira made a new suggestion. But Penny disagreed, saying, Mom, George, we need to decide whether to give up this cow. When those 4 wolves attack, can George hold them off alone? It's good if he can save himself. How can he protect you? So, we might have to wait a few days until my injuries heal, and then we go out together. We need to fight the wolves, and we must kill all of them to end this fight. Or, even if you disagree, we can't go out today. George, you need a hunting bow. Okay, Leeway was convinced. Indeed, they need to fight a decisive battle or at least have the ability to deal with the wolves. Otherwise, they shouldn't go out. That black wolf is the Wolf King, with the ability to summon other gray wolves every so often. No matter what fantasy bug this is, it's the truth. Fira didn't say anything more. After adding some fresh grass to the old cow, she stood there sadly, lost in thought. George, come help. Penny started making a hunting bow from some wood she had stored away long ago. It seemed she had prepared these supplies long before. The process of making the bow involved roasting it over fire. Leeway followed her instructions, busy being commanded around by Penny, but he was happy to do so. If Sam hadn't died, he would have been a great hunter. George, I hope you can become a great hunter too. Near evening, the hunting bow was finally ready. Penny guided Leeway as he drew the bowstring, pointing out, now, you need to carve some wooden arrows and make arrowheads from wolf teeth. These are consumable items, so you should learn to make them yourself. No need to worry about feathered arrows. Within 20 meters, unfeathered wooden arrows are still quite effective. A professional craftsman has gifted you a simple hunting bow and taught you some skills for making wooden arrows. Friendly reminder, because she gave you the bow, if you complete the wolf problem task, she will also gain extra family contribution points. Making wooden arrows is fairly simple, though it still requires decent crafting skills. After Penny made the simple hunting bow, it started to crack, so Leeway had to make his own arrows. According to her, the most important part of unfeathered wooden arrows is proper balance. When cutting, pay attention to the length and straightness. However, the exact center of gravity depends on how he plans to shoot. Therefore, he needs to learn to make his own arrows, as Penny cannot help with this process. As for wolf teeth, there are many. About 20 wolf teeth are enough to make arrowheads. Currently, having hunted 3 wolves, the family could theoretically make over 60 arrows. But wolf teeth are divided into canine teeth and molars. The most deadly are 4 canine teeth. The old wolf Leeway lucked into killing over a month ago had its 4 canine teeth taken by Sam yesterday to make powerful wolf tooth arrows. Unfortunately, these were lost along with the hunting bow outside. So, at this moment, Leeway can only make 8 wolf tooth arrows. As night falls, the howling of wolves begins again, and he can even hear them running outside the camp. Fira and Penny both step out of their tents. Fira lights a few bonfires in the camp and, holding a wooden spear, stands on the ox cart, loudly cursing at the dark night. It's clear she's trying to control her fear. Penny, on the other hand, seems less afraid. She walks around the camp, occasionally rummaging through a simple storage shed. After a while, she finds a few beautiful wild chicken feathers. George, we're lucky. We can make 2 feathered arrows. I tell you, the difference between feathered and unfeathered arrows is huge. If you can hit the target, within 40 meters, you might be able to take down that black wolf. At this moment, Leeway had only made 3 featherless wooden arrows and 2 wolf fang arrows. The former was easier, but the latter was very complicated to make because he lacked experience. After Penny checked his work, she pointed out many mistakes, especially in the cutting techniques. These are almost done. Practice a bit to get a feel for it. Penny eagerly set up a simple target for Leeway. He stepped 20 paces back and, using the firelight, awkwardly knocked one of his featherless wooden arrows. Penny immediately pointed out some small errors in his technique. She seemed to understand a lot about archery, even though she wasn't a hunter. After shooting 7 or 8 arrows in a row, Leeway gradually got the hang of it. On his 11th shot, he hit the target precisely. During this process, he felt the invisible support from the 1-star hunter card. Yes, he could easily control his heartbeat and breathing, especially when slowly drawing the bow. This feeling was very clear. In other words, the support from the 1-star hunter card didn't mean every arrow was automatically 30% more accurate. If it shot randomly and missed the target, it wouldn't have that extra precision. So, he needed to keep adjusting his state. When he reached his best condition, at least above the passing line, that's when the extra accuracy from the card would kick in. From then on, Leeway seemed to be on the right track. He understood the core skills and could almost always hit the target with each shot, with accuracy steadily improving. He could even subtly sense the center of gravity and the approximate flight path of each featherless wooden arrow. That was amazing, truly impressive, 1-star hunter card. That's enough for today. George, you go rest first. Philadelphia and I will keep watch. Penny picked up a wooden spear. Outside the camp, wolves howled constantly, and even some gray wolves tried to cross the wall. It was a blatant harassment tactic, no solution. But right now, their family couldn't fight the wolf pack directly. They could only endure. Leeway understood this well. He nodded and took his hunting bow and a wooden spear back to his room to rest. He had to ensure he was fully rested because he was now the main fighter. He slept soundly that night. Even the continuous howling of wolves didn't wake him. Not only Philadelphia and Penny, but even Leeway himself found this incredible. He didn't realize he had such talent. Last night, the wolf pack did not break through the wall, but they kept bothering everyone. Fila's voice was hoarse, and both she and Penny had huge dark circles under their eyes, looking very tired. The good news is that Penny's injuries are almost healed, and she is practicing spear thrusts. Without a doubt, her life energy has reached level 1 awakening, or she wouldn't be recovering so quickly. Let's settle this tonight, Penny said when she saw Leeway coming. She was ready, and they couldn't wait any longer. If they delayed, the wolves would wear them down. Fila was so exhausted she didn't want to talk. After collecting dew, she skipped eating and went straight to bed to sleep. Penny insisted on cooking breakfast and gave Leeway some advice before going back to rest. After eating, Leeway didn't practice archery but wandered around the camp. The early morning valley was very quiet. Bright sunlight shone from the east, and morning mist drifted in the low areas. From afar, it looked like a fairyland, but he wondered how many dangers lurked here and where the wolves were hiding. Thinking this, he climbed up a simple ladder, probably made by Penny last night. It was a bit unstable, but very useful. From this height, he could see more clearly. Maybe we could build an arrow tower in the future, Leeway thought to himself. Suddenly, he heard a sound. Feeling curious, he pretended not to notice and continued to look around from the ladder, even sticking out half his body. His mind quickly ran through possible scenarios. A few seconds later, a gray wolf jumped out of the bushes nearby, acting boldly. It leapt over the wall, almost reaching the top. Leeway could clearly see the wolf's shining fangs in the sunlight. It was very bold, but Leeway was prepared. He steadied his feet, lowered his stance, and drew his bow. Even if his shot wasn't perfect, the wolf was right in front of him. He didn't need to aim carefully. In an instant, his arrow shot through the wolf's throat. Almost at the same moment, a gust of wind swept past. Leeway saw a dark shadow out of the corner of his eye. Before he could react, he was hit hard and knocked out of the wall, losing his balance and falling down. However, at this critical moment, Leeway decisively abandoned his hunting bow, grabbed the wall, and with full strength, he jumped back, falling heavily to the ground. Cold sweat poured down his face like a waterfall, and his heart pounded rapidly. His mind went blank for a few seconds. Damn it! He set a trap for the gray wolf, but didn't expect that he himself would fall into the trap set by the cunning black wolf. That black wolf king is too clever. George, are you okay? Penny and Fila rushed out after hearing the noise. Seeing Leeway sitting on the ground, sweaty and pale, looking very embarrassed, they were all shocked. I'm fine. I shot and killed a gray wolf, but almost got caught by that black wolf. I also lost my hunting bow. That creature seems to have become very smart, Leeway said, still shaken. That's right. I also think the Black Wolf King recognizes the bow and arrow. Sam was killed by it using this trick before, luring the enemy openly and then attacking from behind. It's really clever, Penny said seriously. Then she climbed up the ladder and looked outside the wall. Besides a fresh wolf bloodstain, there was no sign of any wolf, not even a shadow. As for the hunting bow, it had been torn apart and shattered. What a cunning creature. But it's not a big problem. In fact, it's even a good thing because, so far, Leeway has already killed 3 wolves. Penny looked at Leeway with anticipation. Leeway understood her gaze. Although he couldn't say it directly, he indirectly asked, Sister, can you make me another hunting bow? No problem. Can we start the decisive battle tonight? Penny responded confidently. It's just a hunting bow. If she can make one, she can make a second. Even if it's free, even if this makes the current rival stronger, and even if in the future, the family might be dominated by him, so what? At least it ensures the mission is completed. Moreover, as a professional craftsman, her role in the family is indispensable. In short, finishing the wolf problem quickly and getting everything back on track is the best choice. No problem. We'll fight tonight, Leeway repeated seriously. The wolf problem had brought him the greatest benefits, making him the biggest winner. So, it was about time to end this. That's right, the gray wolf Leeway just killed gave him 30 hunting experience points. With the 75 points he had before, he now has 105 points, enough to upgrade his 1-star hunter card. Bound to a 2-star hunter card, promoted to a professional hunter, gained a talent. Increased shooting accuracy of some ranged weapons and bows to 40%. Automatically received 5 free attribute points. Friendly reminder. Upgrading to a 3-star hunter card requires 1,000 hunting experience points, 10 units of standard world resources, and a bronze quality clearance token. Feeling great. But this should be considered a quick transition through the beginner stage. Thinking this, Leeway also remembered the upcoming battle tonight with the wolf pack. There are still 3 wolves outside, but more could appear at any time. So, he needs to hold off at least the black wolf and another gray wolf alone. How should he distribute the 5 new free attribute points? Strength or agility? Earlier, he was able to escape danger by grabbing the wall and avoiding the wolf's jaws. Those 7 points of agility played a big role. This greatly improved his coordination, balance, and reaction speed. But tonight's fight will be head-on, and just relying on agility isn't enough. After some thought, Leeway decided to add the points to agility, bringing it to 8. Then he checked his defense attribute, 3 points. How about putting the remaining 4 points into defense? What would 7 points of defense do? Could he withstand a wolf's claws and bites? He wasn't sure and didn't want to take the risk. Compared to that, stamina is actually more important. Once stamina runs out, it's impossible to recover quickly. You're just at the mercy of the enemy. Also, without stamina, attributes like strength and agility can't be fully used. Leeway looked at his attribute panel. Since waking up this morning, his condition was naturally energetic, but after just a short fight, he had already used 50 stamina points. Especially the simple action of grabbing the wall and jumping back at a critical moment cost him 40 points. So, even in a highly tense situation, doing nothing still consumes stamina. This is a lesson to be learned. Learn to control your emotions. Don't be like Fira. Being too anxious can affect your state. At this point, Leeway was sure. Without hesitation, he put all 4 remaining free attribute points into his stamina, raising it from 100 to 140. The next second, he suddenly felt very hungry, as if a fire was burning inside his stomach. Leeway was very surprised, but quickly got up and tore off a piece of dried wolf meat to eat eagerly. It wasn't until he finished the meat that the hunger slowly eased. Looking at his stamina, he noticed it was recovering much faster than usual. It seemed there was some pattern behind this. Moo! In the camp, the old ox was anxious, calling out loudly. It hadn't had water for 2 days. Fortunately, Leeway had cut enough grass earlier, which kept it from starving and also provided some water. So, although thirsty, it was not in immediate danger. Fira and Penny were resting as well. Outside the camp, the valley was peaceful, with only buzzing flies, flying grasshoppers, and small birds. Leeway was also thirsty but could tolerate it for now. Around 3 p.m., Fira and Penny came out of their houses, both looking serious. George, we plan to use a bait strategy. Lure the wolves inside and then kill them at the entrance. We're just worried they won't fall for it. If they keep circling outside, that would be terrible. Fira was the first to speak. So, we need 2 plans. If we can win in one fight, that's great. If not, we will go out and face them directly. Okay, I agree. Leeway didn't mind. He was in his best condition and believed he could fight 2 wolves without any problem. The entrance to the cow shed needs to be sealed. George, you go do that. Mom, you go back and rest. I will make another hunting bow, hoping it will be useful, Penny suggested. With a bow and arrow, even if they could shoot a gray wolf early, it would be a huge advantage in the fight. She wasn't going to hold back on this. Leeway and Fira naturally agreed. Soon, the sun set. Although they were very thirsty, the 3 of them silently ate some dried wolf meat. After resting for a while, they lit a campfire, and Fira even made 3 torches using oil. As night fell, wolf howls sounded again outside the camp. Open the door, Leeway and Penny worked together to move the obstacle at the camp entrance. Meanwhile, Fila lit the torches, placing 2 on the wall and holding the third herself. George, if the wolves come, remember, you only get 1 shot to shoot an arrow, Penny whispered nervously, a little worried. Leeway didn't speak. He stayed silent, breathing slowly, calm and steady. He was in better shape than Penny thought. After removing most of the obstacle, the 3 of them stepped back a little. The remaining barrier was no longer enough to stop the wolves from jumping in. Yes, they had to jump in. At this moment, Leeway stood 10 meters away, holding his hunting bow, ready with the last arrow tipped with wolf fawn. He waited quietly. The wolf howls outside the camp continued, but it seemed the wolves hadn't noticed the gap, as the howling was still coming from the southeast. I'll go draw them away. Penny was feeling brave now. She grabbed her axe and was about to rush out. Wait. Be careful. There might be a trap, Leeway quickly warned her. The black wolf was very good at tricking enemies, having already succeeded twice. Penny looked back at Leeway, her eyelids low, speaking calmly. I know, but in this situation, someone has to be the bait. After saying that, she jumped over the obstacle and shouted loudly into the darkness outside the camp. The wolf howling from the southeast suddenly stopped, as if the wolves were rushing over. Penny turned to jump back, but just as she did, a dark shadow suddenly darted out from nowhere and pounced at her like lightning. So sneaky, so clever. When did that black wolf sneak in? In this critical moment, an arrow shot out, hitting the shadow. But it's unclear where it struck. The shadow kept charging forward, still driven by instinct, and knocked Penny down. Everything happened so fast. After shooting this arrow, Leeway had already put down his hunting bow. He quickly bent down to pick up the wooden spear, gathered his strength, jumped up, and charged forward. His movements were so fast and smooth, like a raging wind or flowing clouds, almost showing his best skill. He thought he could reach Penny in 2 seconds and kill the black wolf. Yes, the black wolf, the leader of the pack. But in that split second, under the faint glow of firelight, Leeway's eyes met the black wolf's eyes. Suddenly, Leeway had a strange feeling. He thought his attack might miss. Because even though the black wolf was shot, it still had enough strength to dodge. It was too strong. Also, its sharp claws seemed to have already injured Penny badly. Penny was now on the ground and couldn't help. Now, the black wolf looked like a master fighter, looking down at Leeway, as if it had predicted everything he would do. Its gaze seemed to say, too slow. The black wolf was faster and more agile than Leeway. Leeway wanted to do the same trick as a few days ago, to stab the wolf, but it was impossible now. A flash of this feeling crossed Leeway's mind. Suddenly, like a javelin thrower, he threw the wooden spear upward when he was less than 3 meters from the black wolf. He flicked his wrist and changed how he held the spear instantly. Yes, you might guess what I will do next, or be faster than me. But in front of the laws of physics, all that is just empty talk. Especially at such a close distance, and after he had already run a bit. Even though changing his grip caused a slight delay, he still had a big advantage. And there was one more important possibility. Maybe the black wolf had never seen a spear being thrown like this. It wouldn't understand the small change in his movement. That was one of the main reasons Leeway was willing to take the risk. But in fact, when Leeway changed his grip on the spear and adjusted its angle to gather strength quickly, the black wolf suddenly charged straight at him at full speed. It could sense all possible chances, and Leeway couldn't fool it. At this moment, it was too late for Leeway to switch from throwing to stabbing. At that split second, the black wolf, which was charging quickly, suddenly staggered slightly. Penny had tugged on one of its hind legs, but she quickly let go. For Leeway, this was a rare opportunity. He remained calm, keeping his heart rate, breathing, and muscles in a natural state. In that moment, he threw his wooden spear with precision, piercing the black wolf's throat from close range. The wolf fell silently, dead. Thanks to the 2-star hunter skill, the spear throw was very effective. Additionally, Leeway's high agility helped him coordinate his movements well. Of course, the biggest hero of this battle was Penny. Leeway had to admire her even more. No matter what, he had to accept this favor. A fierce wolf howl sounded again, but quickly faded away. The remaining 2 gray wolves fled. They had been pretending to attack from the southeast, but the black wolf was attacking from another direction. If the camp's entrance was broken through, a slaughter could really begin. However, because the black wolf leader was dead, the two gray wolves immediately scattered. You defeated a strong and cunning alpha wolf. You gained 60 hunting experience points. The remaining gray wolves were frightened and no longer dared to approach your camp. The wolf problem is solved. You earned an extra 100 hunting experience points and 10 family contribution points, now totaling 33. Due to your excellent performance, you automatically become the temporary head of the family for 1 month. During this time, you can assign main family quests. If completed perfectly, you will receive a good evaluation. Friendly reminder. After 1 month, if no family member's contribution exceeds yours, you will continue to be the head. Friendly reminder. Please publish the main family quest soon, or there may be chaos among family members. If any family member dies unexpectedly during your leadership, including due to plot-related reasons, your reputation will be seriously affected. Of course, if you believe you can control the situation, there is no need to release the main family mission. A friendly reminder. The missing family members will randomly appear after this month's summary, and their identities will be based on those who have performed best recently. Information flashed by quickly, and Leeway couldn't help but feel a little excited. However, he didn't delay at all. First, he helped Penny up. She was soaked in blood, with several deep wounds on her back. Her skin was torn open, almost exposing flesh. "Mom, do we have any herbs?" Leeway shouted to Fira. She was still in a daze. Everything had happened so fast. By the time she reacted, the fight was over, and the wolf problem was also solved. "Oh, yes, my poor child." After a moment of stunned silence, Fira finally responded. She threw down her spear and ran to the storage to find some herbs. At this point, Leeway saw that Penny was nearly unconscious, barely breathing. He had no choice but to carry her inside the house. Meanwhile, Fira finally became reliable. She asked Leeway to light a torch and treat Penny's wounds. After a busy effort, Penny slowly woke up. Thank goodness, she wasn't going to die. Leeway let out a sigh of relief. As the head of the family, everything felt different now. It rained all night. At dawn, Leeway woke up from his sleep. First, he checked on Penny. Luckily, she didn't have a fever or any signs of infection, which was very important. Her life attribute's first awakening was like a divine skill. From this, it was clear that allowing family members to improve and level up moderately was necessary. Otherwise, if Penny had died today, Leeway, as the head of the family, might have ended up like Fira, becoming a half-day family leader. "How do you feel?" Leeway asked. "Not great. I might need 10 days or more to recover. During this time, the family will have to rely on you. Take good care of Mom." Penny replied weakly, but her eyes were quite calm. Clearly, she gained a lot from this experience. "Okay, during this time, I will go outside to find iron, ore, cut wood, and hunt game to prepare supplies for winter. Without the threat of wolves, Mom can also gather wild vegetables and mushrooms around the house while cooking. Once you get better, we will build a blacksmith shop together." After saying this, a message immediately appeared in front of Leeway. "Would you like to set this as the main family task for the next month?" He chose yes. In the next second, his 3 family contribution points were used up and new information appeared. A new main family task has been assigned. Over the next month, you need to collect at least 1 unit of iron ore, 3 units of wood, and 2 units of game. Completing the task will earn you 8 family contribution points. Any excess can be donated to the family for extra contribution points or kept as personal property. Fira needs to gather at least 5 units of wild vegetables and mushrooms, and be responsible for the daily grazing of the old ox and the family's 3 daily meals. Penny needs to rest and recover from her injuries. Once she improves, you will help her build a blacksmith shop. Warning: the main family task cannot be delayed too long. If it is delayed for 40 days, the family main task will fail, and the head of the family will receive a lower overall evaluation score. Wow, the requirements are quite high. Leeway immediately felt a sense of urgency. Gathering 5 units of wild vegetables and mushrooms for Fira is no problem. It's midsummer now, and with good luck, she could finish in less than 20 days. The extra time would be her personal property. His own task is a bit more demanding because there's a reward of 8 family contribution points. If that were all, it would be fine, but he also needs to help Penny build a blacksmith shop, which makes things a bit tight. However, he can only choose this option. Currently, The family really needs a blacksmith shop, as many tools and weapons require one. Most importantly, this approach aligns with Penny's career development and allows the blacksmith shop to become family property, which Penny fully supports. Moreover, this main family task also considers Fira's career development. No matter how these two women usually behave, in terms of overall family development, it's best to try to bring them on board. Penny, George, dinner is ready. Outside the house, the smell of meat wafted in. Fira had already prepared breakfast, and she had cleaned the wolf's body thoroughly. This made Leeway suspect that Fira would soon earn a one-star butcher badge. Yes, doing the same thing repeatedly and gaining experience can trigger such results. Their competition among the three of them will only get more intense. After breakfast, Leeway carried 2 spare long spears, slung his hunting bow, and took 10 featherless wolf fang arrows, 1 feathered wolf fang arrow, and a finely crafted wooden spear made by Penny. He left the camp. Today, his goal was to explore the terrain around the camp, look for possible iron ore, and fish. Finding iron ore was very important. In the past, he could ignore it, but now that he is the head of the family, planning for the future is necessary. This requires on-site exploration. So, after leaving the camp, Leeway first went to the stream in the middle of the valley. He followed the stream upstream, searching for suspicious iron ore. Last night's heavy rain caused a flash flood, which expanded the stream's flow 3 or 4 times and washed down more large rocks. Leeway carefully observed. Although the floodwaters were very strong, the terrain was relatively flat, so there was no major geological disaster like landslides. However, if a sudden heavy rain occurs again, such problems might happen. The grass along the stream bank was very lush, covered with dew. After walking for a while, Leeway was half-soaked. He was reluctant to use his fine wooden spear to clear the way, so he took a spare wooden spear, walking and knocking as he went, cautious and alert. He walked about 3 kilometers upstream, which took over an hour. During this time, Leeway found more than 10 large rocks that looked like iron ore. He couldn't move them alone. He would need an ox to pull or break them apart for transport. But there's no rush. As he continued upstream, the terrain became steeper. The stream turned into another valley ahead, with denser forests. Endless bushes seemed like a wall of copper and iron, blocking Leeway's path. He paused here to observe for a moment, then roughly confirmed that this route was blocked. The family's strength couldn't open it up for now, especially since the north and east were covered with towering mountains. Continuing forward would likely bring many difficulties. Actually, the background of this family fleeing seems a bit like the Black Death spreading through medieval times, but it could also be an imaginary world. Anyway, the idea of exploring outward and leaving this valley can be put aside for now. The most important thing is to survive first and figure out how to get through the first cold winter. Thinking this, Leeway turned back. When he looked southwest again, he could see many mountains, but it was clearly different. Without a doubt, there should be more human settlements in that direction, but that area is currently controlled by a disease outbreak. I wonder if their level 1 life attribute awakening can handle the disease. Leeway suddenly stopped. On the other side of the stream, he saw a group of wild boars. He stared at them steadily, and the boars also looked at him with small eyes. After a long while, the boars suddenly squealed and ran into the forest. What a pity. I'm not yet able to go into the forest to hunt. Leeway sighed. He was barefoot and had no pants, so walking was difficult and kept startling the animals. This isn't real hunting. So he decided to fish first. That should be enough. At noon, Leeway returned to the camp. He didn't manage to catch any fish, but he did carry back 2 pieces of suspected iron ore, each about 10 gene, roughly 5 kilograms. They are dark brown, a bit like hematite. But based on what Leeway has learned, that's as far as he can go. The rest depends on luck. Sure enough, when he carried the stones into the camp, there was no information prompt. He was still not satisfied, so he carried the stones into the house for Penny to check. Penny was in good shape, just very weak. She looked at the stones in Leeway's hand and then at his eager face and said, "George, these are probably iron ore, but I don't know how much iron can be extracted. Don't worry too much. When I'm feeling better, we'll see." Hearing this, combined with the lack of new information, Leeway understood what was going on. Finding iron ore isn't easy, but Penny must have explored the surrounding area before. She probably knows more than she's letting on. Otherwise, her eagerness to build a blacksmith shop would be pointless without resources. Fine. She's probably hiding some things. Let her handle this part. It's clear that Penny probably doesn't want him to get a one-star minor card so quickly. She probably wouldn't delay her career development just to sabotage Leeway's main family task. For now, Leeway only said a few meaningless words, like resting to recover, but after eating, he didn't rest and went straight downstream to fish, since he could only go downstream. At this time, the floodwaters in the creek had receded by at least half, revealing large muddy areas along the bank. Leeway walked directly through the muddy area, which was a bit difficult to cross but safe. Otherwise, the wild grass on the bank, which was about half a meter tall, would also be hard to walk through, and he had to be careful of snake and insect bites. As he walked, he observed the creek but didn't see any fish, probably washed further downstream by the flood. Leeway expected this and wasn't in a hurry. He continued downstream for about 10 miles and finally found a school of fish in a mountain bay, but the situation there was different. The water was wide and deep, like a small lake. Using the old method of building a dam with stones to catch fish was almost impossible here. Maybe in a few days, when the creek water returns to normal, some fish will swim back upstream. For now, fishing was probably the only option. But Leeway didn't have fishing tools, and the environment wasn't suitable either. He wandered around this small mountain bay a few times, but couldn't find a good solution. Seeing that it was getting late, he had to turn back. That day, he only brought back 2 stones and nothing else. For a moment, even though Leeway knew he shouldn't rush, he still felt a bit anxious. As the head of the family, if he didn't show results soon, Penelope would catch up quickly. Tomorrow, I'll cut some trees to gather 3 units of wood, solve one problem, then move on to the next. At this moment, Leeway felt discouraged. He had hoped to make great progress today, but now it seemed much harder than he thought. At dusk, Leeway returned to the camp, where Penelope had already prepared dinner, and the aroma filled the small courtyard. In the open space of the yard, there were mushrooms that had been cleaned and laid out to dry. They covered about 10 square meters. Today was a big harvest for her. Last night's heavy rain had caused a lot of mushrooms to grow today. Oh, my George, hunting isn't that easy, right? Don't be discouraged. You're already a great hunter. Come, have dinner and try my mushroom meat soup, Fira greeted cheerfully, seeming to have cheered up, even personally, serving Leeway a bowl. Thank you, Mom. Leeway thanked her, not worried that Fira would poison him. The mushroom meat soup looked plain and dark, but it smelled very delicious. He was hungry, so he eagerly ate it all, his eyes shining with delight. It was really tasty. The soup had a fresh flavor, and because it contained animal fat, it was rich and fragrant. After eating, he felt very comfortable, and all his taste buds seemed to cheer. After a long day of travel and feeling tired, drinking this bowl of soup made him feel much less exhausted. George, is it good? Fira sat nearby with a gentle smile, asking kindly, which made Leeway feel like they were a happy family. She seemed unusually friendly. Yes, it's good. Then have another bowl. Fira served Leeway another bowl, then took some to Penny. Today, she seemed very happy and started chatting with Penny, asking if she liked the mushroom meat soup. Penny wasn't very interested in talking and simply nodded in response. However, Penny still drank 3 large bowls of the soup. Leeway also drank 3 bowls. The dinner was not only plentiful but also very satisfying. Still, he felt something was a bit off. While thinking, 2 messages suddenly appeared without warning. Professional chef developed a new dish and received praise from the head of the family and all members. It is a 1-star dish. Long-term consumption will make the body stronger. Consume it 20 times a month for 6 months to gain a small amount of free attribute points. Professional chef donated the recipe and method of this mushroom meat soup to the family. She gained 20 family contribution points. Leeway stared blankly, extremely shocked. Is this even possible? The experienced old sixth has stolen the family. Damn, he just became the head of the family yesterday. Currently, he only has 30 family contribution points, and Fira, this old sixth, probably already has more than him. And it was after Fira had made a mistake once before, in a situation of failure. It's truly terrifying. If her main family quest hadn't been interrupted by the wolf attack, Fira, this old sixth, would be unstoppable. Anyway, Leeway was convinced and convinced himself. Next, he rested for a while. He wanted to go back to his room to sleep, but Fila's impressive achievements kept him awake. So he took a small knife and sharpened wooden arrows by the campfire. Penny once said that the quality of the wooden arrows is closely related to their accuracy. He needed to work steadily to improve himself. After sharpening 10 arrows, it was already late at night. But Leeway was not tired at all. He felt no fatigue. I have to say, Fila's mushroom meat soup is really good. No wonder it gives 20 points of family contribution. Feeling this way, Leeway used the firelight to draw his bow and shoot 10 times in a row. This was part of his daily training and could not be skipped. Thanks to his professional hunter skills, he could hit the target within 20 meters with all his wooden arrows. Of course, while hitting the target, some arrows were damaged. These are single-use items. But for Leeway, mastering the hunting bow and improving his archery skills and proficiency are very important. As the saying goes, a sharpshooter is made by feeding bullets. Similarly, a master archer is probably the same. Another new day began. After breakfast, Leeway carried his axe, took his wooden spear and hunting bow, crossed a small stream with less water, and headed to the east bank to cut trees. He was very experienced in this work. Especially now, with 10 points of strength and 140 points of stamina, cutting down 10 trees a day should be easy. However, this time he chose trees with a diameter of about 30 to 40 centimeters. These large trees are harder to cut, but he wanted to use such thick trees to upgrade the camp's wall. Fila and Penny have internal conflicts, but external dangers are the most numerous and unpredictable. If possible, he even wanted to build an arrow tower inside the camp. About an hour later, the big tree fell with a loud crash, startling Leeway. At the same time, he gained a full 10 points of logging experience. One tree counts as 10. Clearly, different sizes of trees give different amounts of logging experience. But it was really hard to cut, especially since his axe was not very powerful. His stamina was almost drained. Next, he had to rest for half an hour before starting to trim the branches and the tree crown. This is a very important step. Without trimming into logs, the main task of harvesting cannot be completed. This process is also quite tiring. Even though Leeway is now very healthy and eats well, he still couldn't chop down another tree before noon. After finishing the trimming, it was already noon. Then, he led the old ox to drag the 10-meter-long log back. Surprisingly, the progress in the task list changed. It became 1/3 complete. So, could this big tree be worth as much as 10 small trees? So, what is the standard for 1 unit? Is it 1 cubic meter? Leeway thought about it. What about other types of harvests? They should each have their own standards. For example, the 5 units of dried wild vegetables that Fila donated last time definitely can't be measured in cubic meters. And the prey he plans to hunt next requires 2 units. He can't possibly get 2 cubic meters of meat. That would be too much. Back at the camp, Fila had prepared lunch. Even Penny was able to come out carefully and walk around. George, you actually chopped down an oak tree. Can you split it into firewood? I want to make some charcoal. Penny leaned against the wall, looking a bit weak. Oak wood. Charcoal. Leeway was stunned as he looked back at the log he dragged back. He couldn't tell what type of tree it was. No wonder chopping it earlier was so difficult. Are you going to make charcoal now? Your body isn't fully recovered. My silly little brother, after splitting it into firewood, it still needs to dry for a while. Our blacksmith shop can't be without charcoal, Penny said with a translation tone, but Leeway understood her meaning. She was subtly telling him that building the blacksmith shop depended on this. Leeway didn't mind. If Sam hadn't died earlier, and if Fila hadn't taken the role of the head of the family, and if they had chosen a different development path, Penny's blacksmith shop might already be on the schedule. After lunch, Leeway rested for a short while. With Penny's occasional guidance, he prepared to split the oak into firewood. Without a saw, it was almost a nightmare. But he had no other choice. To upgrade and improve household tools, there must be a difficult process of primitive accumulation. Especially now that I am the head of the family, I can't afford to be lazy. Over the next 2 days, I fought hard with this piece of oak wood. I was almost exhausted and bleeding, but I finally split it into firewood and left it to dry. However, there was no notification, which suggests these split logs are related to building the blacksmith shop. Maybe I need to wait until the shop is built or reaches a certain stage before I get any rewards. Besides that, I gained 20 woodcutting experience from this log. Adding the previous 10 points, I have earned a total of 30 experience in 3 days. That's a big loss. Right now, because Fila donated all the food to the family, I don't need to pay for meals. The experience from woodcutting and other skills can be kept. Maybe I can change my job to a lumberjack, like a cartoon character, but it seems difficult or maybe impossible. Penny chopped trees for over 10 days to build the wall, but nothing special happened. After dinner, even though my whole body was sore, I habitually sharpened wooden arrows by the campfire. Every day, I make 10 arrows and shoot 10 times. It's not a casual task. I am learning. I pay attention to my body posture when shooting, arms, legs, stance, waist movement, the subtle technique of pulling the bowstring, the process of knocking the arrow, and so on. All of this requires building a series of muscle responses. Most importantly, without a teacher's guidance, I have to figure everything out myself, judge by feel, and shoot based on my own sense. This is a long-term process, and persistence is key. Nothing happened overnight. The next morning, after breakfast, I set out alone to find the second oak tree across the creek in the forest. My attitude has become less anxious. I focus on working steadily. Even if next month I lose my position as the head of the family again to Fila, so what? I am no longer a newcomer. Having enough contribution points to avoid being eliminated by the storyline is important. My hunter profession can ensure I have enough to eat. Overall, the small family of me, Penny, and Fila is now on the right track. I, as a hunter and farmer, am essential. Fila, as a cook and gatherer, is just as important. Penny, the craftsman, is also vital. The competition and conflicts among the three of us are not as intense at this stage. Perhaps it will only become clear in the next stage. For the next 6 days, Leeway cut down 2 more oak trees and split them into firewood. The main quest to gather 3 units of logs was completed. He earned a total of 90 woodcutting experience points, bringing his total experience to 105. However, for some reason, he did not trigger the 1-star woodcutting badge. During this time, Penny's injuries gradually healed. She started doing some light physical work, such as improving the stove she had previously built. Occasionally, she would go for a walk outside. Even Fila stopped causing trouble, making everything quite peaceful. "George, let's make charcoal tomorrow. My injuries are almost fully healed," Penny suddenly said after dinner. "Okay," Leeway agreed quickly. Building a blacksmith shop was also part of the main quest. Although 10 days had passed so far, Fila's main quest was nearly complete. The next morning, Leeway got up early. Under Penny's guidance, he worked very hard, like a beast. Making charcoal is a skillful and tiring job. All day, Leeway was busy helping Penny. He looked exhausted, with dust and smoke on his face, like a hard-working coal seller. After dinner, he felt almost drained. But even so, after resting a little, he got up again. He sharpened 10 wooden arrows and, in the dim firelight, carefully practiced shooting 10 times as usual. Sometimes, you can't rely only on your profession card. If only he had it, it would be like a lucky advantage. But if all players had it, then it would come down to wisdom and perseverance. Otherwise, how could he beat others? In the following days, Leeway kept making charcoal. Once he understood the process and gained some experience, Penny stopped giving him instructions. The next day, she went out exploring. She returned empty-handed at night, apparently searching for iron ore. Meanwhile, Fila successfully completed a main quest assigned by her family head. This meant she would have 17 days to develop freely. From what we see now, it's very likely that Fila will become the family head again next month. Because if she wants to compete, her total family contribution could possibly exceed 50 points. This is something Leeway cannot compete with no matter what. Every day, Penny brings back a few pieces of iron ore, though he doesn't know how good they are. After a few days, she has collected quite a few. Surprisingly, these can also be counted as part of Leeway's main tasks, probably because he is working with Penny to build a blacksmith shop, so they are considered a team for now. In addition, Penny spends her evenings making clay molds and letting them dry in her room. After another 7 or 8 days, everything is ready. During dinner, Penny suddenly speaks. "George, the charcoal you made is very good. You've worked hard these days. With the charcoal and these iron ores, I believe I can smelt a batch of iron tomorrow. However, the amount of ore is a bit small, and I don't know how much iron it contains. To be safe, I might need to smelt a few iron tools to make up the difference." "Mom, George, What do you think? Leeway becomes alert when he hears this. He doesn't understand much about these things, but he knows Penny wouldn't say such things without reason. I disagree. These tools were all left by your father. They were bought from the blacksmith shop in town. The materials and forging quality are very good. Penny, I understand you want to become a blacksmith, but you can't ignore the risks. In a month, the wheat harvest will begin, and those damn birds and beasts will come day and night to steal our food. We need to spend more time and effort protecting the farmland, not getting distracted by your plans. Look at how exhausted your brother has been helping you. I feel sorry for George. Also, we don't have much food at home, especially meat. Without enough meat, we can't sustain such heavy work. He should go hunting, not help you burn charcoal. Philadelphia firmly states her position and disagrees. Leeway also finds this suspicious. It seems unnecessary. Why go to the trouble of smelting tools at home if there's not enough iron ore? Just go find more or somewhere else. Currently, the only thing at home that can be smelted is that broken iron shovel. Other tools are important for daily work. Hoes for weeding, sickles for harvesting. In fact, over the past few days, weeds in the wheat field have become quite rampant. Leeway spends time every day weeding. Is Penny up to some new scheme again? At this moment, Leeway asked, but Penny shook her head with a bitter smile. George, I don't want this either. I know your worries, but there's really nothing I can do. No more iron ore. I've searched within a 10-mile radius these past few days. The only ore I found might have been washed down by floods from upstream. To smelt iron, it's best to do a full furnace. Half a furnace is hard to succeed with, and maintaining the right temperature is difficult. I calculated that, including all the ore in our iron products, it's just enough for one full furnace. I promise that once the iron is melted, I will craft all the necessary tools as quickly as possible and with the best quality. Mom, George, please trust me. Penny spoke sincerely, but neither Leeway nor Fila believed her. Anyone could tell she was still playing tricks. She just wanted to delay finishing the blacksmith shop until next month. But that meant Leeway would be the unlucky one. Time was running out. The month was about to end, and Leeway didn't have the time to search further for iron ore. As the head of the family, he couldn't afford major setbacks. Finishing the blacksmith shop and completing this month's main task was the top priority. Even knowing Penny was scheming, he had to hold his nose and accept it. If he didn't finish the blacksmith shop this month, next month, when Penny managed on her own, the ownership of the shop wouldn't fully belong to the family. This was very important. Penny dared to take a risk, but Leeway didn't dare to add more bets. And what if Penny was telling the truth? He had already spent a day searching for iron ore before, walking 20 miles upstream along the creek, but found nothing. From this, Penny's request to use iron products to replace some of the ore was understandable. All right, I believe you. After some thought, Leeway finally agreed. No matter the truth, he had to accept it. Great, George, but I need all the iron tools in the house. Also, tomorrow you must help me crush all the ore. This is very important. Penny cheered happily. Oh, my George, are you crazy? Fila shouted in disbelief, her eyes full of disappointment. Do as you like. When you grow up, you can make your own decisions. But you need to understand that you are responsible for the consequences of your actions. Fira finally gave up because, with a 2-to-1 advantage, her opposition was useless. Mom, I promise this won't be a risky move, Penny hurriedly said, worried that Leeway might change his mind. She took a few steps forward and removed all the metal tools from the house, which meant most of their family's work for tomorrow would come to a halt. It was a real gamble. At that moment, a message appeared. As the head of the family, you have made a major decision that could put the family at great risk. All consequences are yours to bear. This message made Leeway feel a bit scared. He suddenly became nervous, feeling the pressure increase sharply. He started to doubt himself and even wanted to back out. But in the end, he steadied himself. Being the head of the family isn't easy. You need courage. Now, it's like a big gamble. If Penny can't melt the iron, everything is lost. The family that was getting back on track would face a huge setback, and they might have to go back to the Stone Age. Fira's past mistakes were not far behind. Don't wait until tomorrow. Let's do it tonight. Leeway was full of urgency. Penny, on the other hand, looked relaxed and confident. She occasionally glanced at him with a mix of admiration and regret. Despite their rivalry, Leeway's courage was impressive. Otherwise, her plan wouldn't have succeeded. Now, She couldn't play any tricks during the iron melting process. Soon after, Leeway and Penny worked quickly through the night. Leeway handled the heavy work, breaking the iron ore into pieces. Penny was responsible for crushing the charcoal, spreading it in the already built furnace, and preparing the clay mold they made earlier. These are skilled tasks. Leeway didn't understand them, but he was deeply impressed. He thought Penny must have been a science genius before, or she wouldn't be able to do all this with just a craftsman's tools. Even if he traveled to a different world, knowledge remained the most important power. They worked until dawn, smashing all the iron ore. Leeway was exhausted, hungry, and tired. He couldn't go on anymore and decided to go back to sleep. He couldn't keep going. Only Penny kept going. She had already lit the fire. Whether it succeeds or not, this is her one shot. Leeway slept so deeply that he was unaware of hunger or anything else until a few messages appeared, startling him awake. With your full support, the professional craftsman successfully smelted the first batch of iron. The professional craftsman made a simple anvil and an iron hammer. The professional craftsman made a rough iron pot. The professional craftsman made 3 rough short swords. The professional craftsman made a rough axe. The family received 5 units of iron ingots. Your family main task. Blacksmith shop completed. Wow. Amazing. Leeway quickly got up and ran out of the room. He saw Penny and Fira working together to pour molten iron into a mold. They were busy and sweating, but looked very excited. The blacksmith shop is really finished. Even Fira, who was very opposed before, will benefit from it. This is definitely a milestone in the family's development. But it also means Penny's main task for the blacksmith shop is done. She will have at least 6 or 7 days of free time afterward. Only Leeway still has 2 units of prey left to hunt. Fortunately, this isn't a big problem. As long as he is the head of the family, all main tasks will be completed smoothly. This will earn him many extra points in the game's evaluation. For the next 2 days, Leeway did not go hunting. Instead, he worked with Penny to heat the rough tools cast from molten iron until they glowed red, then hammered them on the anvil. This is also an important job for the blacksmith shop, called quenching. Anyway, this process is complicated. Leeway doesn't understand it, only knows how to swing the hammer. Penny was not lying. After 2 days, the family successfully produced 3 sharper short swords, a good axe, a hoe for weeding, a shovel, and 3 sharp iron spearheads. These could be attached to wooden handles to make real, deadly weapons. Penny even made 5 3-edged iron arrowheads for Leeway, including the shovel, which was not cast with mud molds but heated red and repeatedly hammered, with a surface treated with carbon to increase hardness. Penny put a lot of effort into it. So, regardless of her previous intentions, the family's overall ability to resist natural challenges has greatly improved, which will greatly help Leeway in his upcoming hunting activities. Unfortunately, a single batch of molten iron can only produce so much, and the blacksmith shop quickly shuts down again. Next, they need to find more iron ore and produce more charcoal, but that is now Penny's responsibility. On the 4th day, which is the 25th day of Leeway being the head of the family, Penny took an iron spear, a short knife, some dried food, and left early in the morning to find more iron ore. This is her career path. At the same time, this also means that Leeway's brief cooperation with her ends here. Next month will be crucial in determining who becomes the head of the family. Fira is doing the same, going out early and returning late, gathering resources intensely to prepare for the next month's competition for the head position. Leeway isn't very persistent about this because, next month, the wheat harvest is coming. Regardless of who becomes the head, part of his main tasks will focus on harvesting the wheat. You can't watch the wheat ripen and then go hunting instead. That would break logical sense. Therefore, next month, the competition will mainly be between Penny and Fira, but Fira currently has a huge advantage. Leeway thought this over as he finished his breakfast leisurely. He's learning to take care of his stomach. He can't just rely on his level 1 awakening with 100 health points to get by. No matter how strong his vitality, there's always a limit. He could see this clearly from Penny. She was injured twice in a row, and even though she recovered this time, her vibrant life energy was noticeably weaker. Especially after all this work recently, she looked a bit tired and no longer had that small, energetic feeling she once had. So, avoiding injuries and maintaining good health daily is very important. Afterward, Leeway wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he made a few simple scarecrows in the wheat field to frighten away birds and beasts. He also cleared some weeds with a hoe. By midday, he finally took his iron spear, short knife, and bow and arrow and headed straight for the forest. He was about to start hunting. He only had 5 days left and needed to catch 2 units of prey. Leeway's plan was to hunt larger animals, like deer or wild boar. But, on second thought, he decided not to provoke wild boars for now. Although the season is nearing autumn, the weather remains very hot. Not just in the forest, but even at the edge of the woods, the plants are so lush that it's almost frightening. At first, Leeway tried hitting with a wooden spear, but he soon gave up. In this tall grass that's almost waist-high, he wouldn't become a hunter, he'd just become a fool. There are also many poisonous insects in the grass, and the mosquitoes bite him all over, causing big swellings. Is hunting really that easy? In the end, Leeway had no choice but to break some branches and try to weave a raincoat for himself. But halfway through, he suddenly had an idea. He realized he could weave a fish trap to catch fish. Catching fish is a bit easier. But first, he needed to find flexible branches suitable for weaving. Large tree branches wouldn't work. He needed vines. Fortunately, Philadelphia and Penny didn't think of that. Wait, maybe they did think of it. Penny is a craftsman, so her focus is on that. Philadelphia is clearly an expert in outdoor survival, so it's unlikely she didn't think of it. Maybe she's just waiting for the right moment to use her secret trick. As Leeway thought about this, he slowly and carefully moved around the edge of the forest. Suddenly, a flock of wild mountain chickens flew out from the grass, startling him. But once he reacted, they had already flown far away, beyond his reach. But wait, why should I chase them? I have a bow and arrow. Leeway realized he was being a bit silly. He took down his hunting bow, pulled out a wooden arrow without feathers, and was confident he could hit within 10 steps. Wooden arrows without feathers are easy to make, and if he missed, he wouldn't feel bad. He decided to treat it as a practice run. If he failed, he'd just go fishing instead. He prepared himself mentally, adjusted his stance, and bent his bow. He moved slowly through the grass. The flock of mountain chickens was no longer visible, but they must be nearby. After moving forward about 10 meters, he saw a group of chickens flying up again from the grass. There were at least a dozen of them. This time, Leeway responded quickly, probably thanks to his training over the past 20 days, which allowed him to use his hunter instincts at a high level. In an instant, Zhang drew his bow and shot without even aiming carefully. The simple, smooth wooden arrow flew straight and hit a wild pheasant, knocking it down. At that moment, Leeway felt like he was dreaming. This was different from when he shot the gray wolf before, because back then they were very close, and it was a sudden situation that didn't allow much thinking. It was mostly luck, and afterward, he couldn't really remember any skills, only a blank space. Now, though, he was over 10 meters away, paying full attention. From drawing the bow to shooting and hitting, everything was smooth and natural. That was experience, skill, and truly his own ability. At least, he had this realization now. So, he didn't hesitate or go to pick up the fallen pheasant. Instead, he quickly drew his only feathered wolf fawn arrow, pulled the bow to full, and shot into the sky. Even though the pheasants had already flown more than 25 meters away, he still felt confident he would hit. It was just like the training he had done over the past 20 days. Maybe ordinary people couldn't do this, but don't forget, he had a 40% accuracy boost. All he needed to do was maximize this boost, and that was enough. It was just a pheasant. The bowstring sounded, and another pheasant fell from the distance. So simple. So this was what it felt like to be a hunter. Leeway felt himself drifting, but not out of control. Instead, he was in a state of adrenaline rush, with his body coordination, hearing, and eyesight greatly enhanced. His thinking was also incredibly clear. Maybe this was the legendary peak state. He quickly retrieved his prey. At the same time, information appeared, 10 points of hunting experience gained. Killing a pheasant gave 5 points, which was pretty good. His total hunting experience now reached 75 points. Unfortunately, the group of pheasants was too frightened and flew away hundreds of meters away, disappearing completely. Otherwise, he might have gained more achievements today. He hurried back to the camp with the 2 pheasants. The weather was scorching, so he had to process the prey quickly before it spoiled. But when Leeway returned to the camp, he saw Philo walking back steadily, carrying a bamboo basket on her back from afar. At that moment, he suddenly had a bad feeling. As expected, as a skilled survivalist, Fira wouldn't forget to use a fish trap for fishing. Now she has already completed the main family task, and all the fish she caught belong to her. In other words, she can donate more supplies to the family to earn more family contribution points. Next month, she is likely to become the head of the family. You caught 2 mountain quails. Your main family task progress increases by 0.2 units. When Leeway handed the mountain quails to Fira for processing, a silent message appeared. So that's how it's calculated, roughly. He muttered to himself, but didn't pay much attention. So far, he has learned some measurement units for items. For example, logs are probably measured in cubic meters, with 1 cubic meter equal to 1 unit. Firewood is likely the same. Dried wild vegetables are counted as 1 basket, about 3 kilograms. Fresh wild vegetables are multiplied by 5 on this basis. Iron ingots are measured at 1 kilogram per unit. Charcoal is 5 kilograms per unit. Unfortunately, he still doesn't know what the standard required materials are for passing the level, or how much 1 unit is. When you're under someone's roof, you have to follow these rules. Leeway's thoughts drifted as he rested at the camp. Watching Fira skillfully pluck the feathers from the mountain quails, including the fish in the trap, at least 5 or 6 pounds each, looked like a smooth, artistic process. Without a doubt, if Fira had a butcher card, she would have already reached 2 stars. This means she is also a dual profession player. The 2 mountain quails will be eaten quickly, but the fish are being dried into fish jerky and hung to dry because they are Fira's personal property. George, you can wash the feathers from these mountain quails. They can be used to make feather arrows. The feathers need to be trimmed and glued. These fish bladders can be boiled into fish gel. You're a good kid, and you should learn to master these skills. Mom believes in you, Fira said happily, with no sign of awkwardness. She is a master and a seasoned player. But then, a message appeared. Professional chef is selling you 5 fish bladders used for making fish glue and is willing to share some tips on how to make it. You need to pay 50 points of random experience to buy this. Sure enough, Fira is definitely an expert in outdoor survival in the real world, knowing how to make fish glue. However, 50 points of random experience is quite expensive, equal to the experience gained from killing 10 small mountain chickens. Also, these 5 fish bladders might not be enough, as it seems like she's dealing with a wealthy person who can hang things on streetlights. For a moment, Leeway feels complicated. He really has the urge to confront her and get rid of this tricky person. But on the other hand, if it were Penny, she would probably ask for a lot in return because she definitely knows how to make fish glue. She also made the 2 feathered wolf arrow tips earlier, which Penny probably crafted at some unknown time. Penny never intended to teach him for free. Making feathered arrows is a skill and a business. Unless it's part of a main quest where the game explicitly requires it, Penny wouldn't give him the arrows for free. So what can he do? His knowledge is limited, and he has to accept this loss. After thinking for a long time, Leeway finally gives in and spends 50 points of hunting experience to learn how to make fish glue. Fira is honest and detailed, explaining how to boil it, control the temperature, such as not letting it boil, and other key points. After cooking, it needs to be cooled in icy stream water for several hours, and there are environmental requirements as well. She even specifically tells him that only the feathers and tail feathers of mountain chickens can be used. George, I heard that goose or eagle feathers are the best for making feathered arrows. Mountain chicken feathers are a bit worse and tend to get damp, moldy, or infested. If you succeed in making them, you must keep them safe. Also, although oak is hard, it's not suitable for arrow shafts. You can choose white waxwood or bamboo. Fira speaks a lot this time, almost like she's giving all her knowledge. Leeway benefits greatly, but also feels confused. Fira's intentions seem quite complicated. After a long while, he suddenly realizes that Fira is playing a balancing game. If Penny gets stronger, she will support him. When he shows signs of becoming more powerful, she will stand with Penny. She's very confident. Does she not worry about messing up? Or perhaps this is preparing her to become the head of the family next month. Even though it was still early, Leeway didn't plan to go hunting. Instead, he followed Fira's advice, first selecting suitable pheasant feathers, boiling them to remove oil, making them soft, and then cutting them into the right shape. Next, he boiled fish gelatin. Whether it turns out well isn't the most important thing. What matters is that he keeps practicing and learning from each attempt until he improves. Because arrow feathers are an important strategic resource. As a hunter, he might later become an archer, so mastering these skills is essential. At noon, Penny didn't come back, which shows she probably went somewhere far away. Her goal was to find more iron or maybe locate an iron deposit. It's not easy, but if she really finds an iron deposit, it could change everything. Thinking of this, Leeway finally understood Fila's actions today. She was trying to win him over and also prepare for possible unexpected events. In the afternoon, Leeway continued boiling fish gelatin. This task tests his control of the fire because the gelatin can't boil and the temperature must stay low. He couldn't focus on anything else, almost ruining it several times. By evening, the sun was setting. Fila was driving the old ox back home, and Penny, tired, also returned. She saw what Leeway was doing at first glance, then looked back at Fila, seeming a bit annoyed. Because it was supposed to be a steady, long-term business, but this old troublemaker sold it cheaply to fight against her. Still, she could only keep her anger inside, since they were a loving family. Leeway put away the boiled fish gelatin and cooled it in the stream. This also took a long time, and the details might not be perfect, but it should be enough for short-term use. After working through most of the night, Leeway was busy selecting and shaping arrow shafts and gluing feathers with fish gelatin. He was so busy he felt overwhelmed. Finally, he managed to make 4 feathered wolf fang arrows. But even so, these couldn't be considered perfect arrows. In the coming days, he would test them carefully, checking the best center of gravity for the shafts, whether they spun evenly, and their shooting accuracy. Only then could he combine his hunter's talent to achieve the best shooting results. Anyway, he was full of hope for the future. Over the next few days, Leeway hunted while also learning to weave fish traps like Philadelphia. Occasionally, he made traps in the river to catch fish. The fish he caught could be used for family main tasks, and the fish bladders could be boiled into fish glue. Since fish glue cannot be stored for a long time, he had to cook it fresh and make it into good quality feathered arrows, which he kept in a cool, dry place. Leeway's archery skills kept improving. His handmade feathered arrows became more precise, and his overall shooting ability got better. He could now hit a flying pheasant 100% of the time within 20 meters. Yes, around the forest edges where he didn't need to go deep, pheasants were the most common. They became his main hunting target. He could shoot 3 to 5 pheasants a day on average, and with good luck, he could catch 7 or 8. As the family main task progressed, he collected more feathers suitable for making arrows. He estimated that by the end of the month, he would have about 50 good arrows. Meanwhile, Philadelphia and Penny were more aggressive. They left early and returned late, working hard to compete for the family head position next month. Who would win? It was hard to say. As a beginner, Leeway watched and learned how internal conflicts worked. The tricks these two women played already taught him a lot. When the last day of the month arrived, Leeway handed a pheasant to Philadelphia, completing the 2 units of prey needed. This marked the end of his family's main task for the month, which was a perfect success. Silent messages appeared in his mind. Under your wise leadership, all family main tasks are completed. The family's overall wealth has greatly increased, and their ability to face external risks has improved significantly. Thanks to your strong support, the family now owns a rough, simple blacksmith shop. The tools and weapons used by the family have been upgraded and reinforced. The family's residence has been upgraded to a level 2 camp, with an increase of 1 person, making a total of 5 family members. You will receive a 10% bonus for the overall evaluation. You earned 12 family contribution points, now totaling 42 points. Within 24 hours, 2 new players will join the family. Their roles will be determined based on the current family status and the most outstanding family members during the recent task cycle. The new player's identity is George's fiancé, Mise, Philadelphia's younger brother, Leon. The player's profession and initial attributes are unknown. Friendly reminder: after the monthly summary, the family member with the highest contribution will become the head of the family. Wow, my fiancé? Leeway was a bit shocked, but he was more curious about what would happen next. The family camp would keep upgrading, more members would join, and the family would grow stronger. Eventually, everyone would still be fighting each other, voting wildly, and having internal conflicts every day. So what is the core of this game? If this is a game, Leeway had to think about this now. But honestly, it didn't seem so bad, because the game's host even talked about human rights. The plot-based eliminations and deaths wouldn't mean real death. It all felt a bit strange, and as a hard-working person, he found it uncomfortable. Craftsman discovered a small iron mine 12 miles from the family. She decided to donate this mine to the family. Since iron mines are special 3-star resources in this world, she earned 100 family contribution points. Note: such resources can only be found by the corresponding profession, like rare herbs, valuable trees, rare animals, or seeds from farm produce. 2 messages suddenly appeared, startling Leeway so much that he froze, feeling a chill. He couldn't help but look up at Penny. Over the past few days, Penny had been like air, going out early and returning late, covered in dirt, and looking much thinner. He couldn't see exactly how she climbed mountains and crossed streams to find the iron mine, but he could tell how much hardship she had endured. And in the end, she managed to gather a big move. A small iron mine, 100 contribution points, instantly surpassing Philadelphia, not to mention Leeway. Damn, she really worked hard. Leeway was convinced and had no complaints anymore. There was no point in fighting over it. Contributing his farmland wouldn't change anything. Wait, why aren't Philadelphia and Penny going crazy and fighting to the death? Suddenly, a thought flashed in his mind. Without hesitation, he immediately decided to donate his own farmland, which was about to mature and be ready for harvest, to the family. You donated your farmland because crops were about to be ready for harvest. As a result, you gained 10 family contribution points, bringing your total to 52 points. Friendly reminder: since your family contribution points reached 50, your status has become a family elder. With this status, you are exempt from all regular plot-based voting and will receive a 5% bonus to your evaluation upon completion of the game, currently at 15%. Family elders can initiate special plot-based actions called plot kills. If a family elder makes a mistake that causes serious and obvious negative consequences, others can start a special plot kill, impeachment. Each impeachment costs 50 family contribution points to initiate, and other family members who agree will earn between 1 and 5 contribution points. Friendly reminder: exempting a plot kill requires 50 family contribution points. So now I see. He has become a family elder. That's good. Leeway relaxed. Although family elders can start special plot kills, it only happens if someone makes a serious mistake that causes big problems. For example, if Fira fails her family head main quest, she could trigger a plot kill. Normally, as long as he doesn't compete for the family head position, there's little chance of making serious mistakes. Overall, this is a good thing. Leeway still isn't qualified to compete for the family head, but he can avoid being killed by Fira and Penny with normal plot kills. Yes, that's entirely possible if his family contribution points are low and he isn't a family elder. Next, Leeway waited quietly. As expected, Fira and Penny didn't initiate any plot kills. Fira didn't even donate her personal wealth to increase her contribution points. It seems they've already given up. However, Leeway estimates that if Fira donated everything she had, her contribution points could reach 70. In short, it's not that she isn't capable. Penny is just too extraordinary. The family head position is now certain. Mom, George, winter is coming soon. We need to prepare for the cold months ahead. Our house needs to be expanded and better insulated. We need more firewood for winter. If possible, the garden wall should also be reinforced. We also need to stock up on food and harvest the wheat. All of these are very important. To get through winter, we must work hard. What do you all think? Penny spoke up, setting the main task tone for the family leader. Leeway sighed in relief. Penny wasn't going crazy and insisting on using all family resources to mine iron. For their family, winter will be a tough challenge, and they must prepare in advance. Fira stayed silent, lost in thought. I'll handle harvesting the wheat and planting winter wheat. I'll reinforce the garden wall. I can help with expanding the house, but the specific work should be done by my sister. When I have free time, I can also go hunting for game. Leeway spoke, choosing areas he could manage. He didn't want to go mining, and Penny probably wouldn't agree either. Mining and craftsmanship go well together, after all. Oh, my dear brother, you're really the backbone of the family. It's so good to have you, Penny said with a big smile. The main task for the family leader is mandatory, But if a family member can't complete it, everyone suffers. This time, the family has two new members. Macy is George's fiancée, so the work George takes on now actually includes responsibilities for both of them. I don't know much about farming, George, so you'll handle that yourself. You can also reinforce the wall. For expanding the house, just cut 50 small logs. That will give us enough firewood for winter. For hunting, follow this month's standards. Besides that, I'll take care of tool repairs and replenishing iron arrowheads. Penny quickly outlined Leeway's work scope for next month. It looks heavy, but it's necessary. If they don't work hard in autumn, they won't have time once the heavy snow blocks the mountains. Professional craftsmen discovered a small iron mine deep in the forest 12 miles from the family home. She completed an initial survey and established a safe route between the mine and the camp. She decided to donate this small iron mine to the family. Since iron mines are a special 3-star resource in this world, she gained 100 family contribution points. Friendly reminder: such resources can only be discovered by the corresponding profession. For example, only blacksmiths, craftsmen, and miners can explore iron, copper, or stone mines. Only villagers, chefs, herbalists, or hunters can find high-quality wild vegetables and herbs. Only lumberjacks, carpenters, or certain craftsmen can find rare trees. Only hunters and villagers can find rare animals. Only fishermen can catch high-quality fish. Only farmers can plant high-quality seeds. Similarly, exquisite food can only be cooked by chefs, high-quality clothing can only be made by tailors, and high-grade hunted animals require skilled butchers to process. Warning: non-professionals can handle these materials, but the quality will drop significantly. If the materials belong to the family and are marked as valuable, they must be used forcibly, which will result in proportional penalties. Fira remained silent. Next month, she wouldn't be alone. She would have a young son, Leon. She could ask Leon to go gathering with her, or let him go mining with Penny. This is a delicate situation. One is her biological mother, and the other is her sister-in-law, the head of the family. Both make sense in the story. Unlike Leeway's fiancée, Macy, who can only work alongside Leeway in the story. Mom, autumn is a harvest season. The mountains and forests are like treasure troves. You're the best at these things. I remember there's a chestnut grove to the east. Penny started to challenge Fira. It's too early to gather now. Next month is better, Fira interrupted Penny. When it comes to gathering, she is the best. Her primary profession is a chef. This month, I can gather more wild fruits. If possible, I can also collect some honey. Additionally, I want to go fishing. This is important. I can't promise everything else, but this winter, Mom won't let you go hungry. The mushroom meat soup can be made every day, and I guarantee it. Under Penny's persistent pressure, Fira finally spoke up and revealed her strongest card. The recipe she donated before isn't just a one-time gift. It's a dish that the family fully understands, from ingredients to cooking methods. It's a recipe that the mother in the story has mastered. If a mother knows there's delicious food, why wouldn't she cook it for her children? That wouldn't make sense logically. So, as a cook responsible for the family's meals, Fira is naturally required by the rules to eat at least 20 meals a month. This is the minimum to earn a free attribute point in 6 months. This month, Fira has been strictly following this minimum, making 2 meals every 3 days, totaling exactly 20 mushroom meat soups. If she makes even one less meal, she wouldn't meet the task requirements, and neither Leeway nor Penny would need to supervise her. Eating 1 meal a day? Mom, wouldn't that be too tiring for you? Penny asked worriedly, but her satisfied look betrayed her. The mushroom meat soup isn't just an ordinary recipe. Only a 2-star chef can make it. It's a dish with special attributes. She tried to replicate it before: ingredients, process, order. She couldn't make it exactly the same, but it didn't matter. Maybe she couldn't find higher quality 1-star mushrooms, just like only she could discover that 3-star quality iron ore. If Fira is willing to make mushroom meat soup every day, it's almost like she could earn a free attribute point in less than 5 months. Of course, this depends on the family head insisting she do so every month. Plus, since it's already donated to the family, she doesn't need to pay for the ingredients. That's very cost-effective. It might be a bit tiring, but I can ask Lion to help me, Fira said kindly, bargaining here. But Penny wasn't easy to convince either. She immediately asked further, But you said you need to ensure enough food for 5 people to get through the winter. No problem. I promise we'll have enough winter food. To compete for the new player lion, Fila also spent a lot. Of course, she had her own purpose, not just because of great motherly love. At this point, Penny was satisfied and didn't need to specify an exact amount. Since Fila promised to supply enough food for 5 people to survive the winter, once the main quest was released, the corresponding amount would be available. Under the rules, no one could cheat. Then, I will be responsible for expanding the house. We need at least 3, for rooms for the 5 of us. Also, I will handle the winter heating stove. During other times, I will mine iron, ore, and transport it back. I will also supply the tools and weapons needed at home. Let's do it this way. Penny made the final decision, and the main quest was also released. Overall, things were quite harmonious this time, which basically meant that these 3 players had moved away from low-level, chaotic competition. Or rather, they already had enough influence within their families and areas of expertise. Even if others became the head of a family, it would be hard to forcefully change things. For example, Fila's gathering and cooking skills. Who could replace her? After all, everyone needs to eat. Leeway's farming and hunting skills. Who could replace him? And Penny's work as a craftsman and blacksmith. Who could take over? This marked a new stage of orderly family development. However, their competition would continue until new family members joined. In the future, factions might form within the family. If they can't open up the situation, family members without irreplaceable skills will have to rely on experienced players. By the way, how can he win over his fiancée? This isn't something that can be solved with a good night's sleep. Previously, Penny had tried to seduce her, even made a move on her. Her fiancé, Sam, wasn't infinitely loyal to her. Once he understood the game's rules, he made the choice he thought was best for himself. So it's all up to fate. This fiancé probably won't be easily won over. I also wonder why Fila thinks she can win over her son Lion. After dinner, Fila and Penny went back to sleep. Leeway stayed behind as usual. He first blocked the camp entrance with a barrier, then lit a bonfire. He patrolled around with a wooden spear, then replaced the bowstring on his hunting bow, took out 10 feathered arrows and 10 wooden arrows without feathers, and began his daily training. During this time, unless it was raining, he practiced archery every night. The training was not intense, but he persisted, and the results were impressive. Now he can skillfully shoot with both hands. Within 30 meters, he can hit a fixed target every time. He can also hit moving targets, like a pheasant, 9 out of 10 times. However, his hunting bow is a bit weak. He doesn't dare pull it to the limit, afraid it might break. The next morning, Leeway woke up slowly and heard Philadelphia crying happily. Her young son, Leon, had arrived. He quickly left his room and saw outside the camp a young man standing there, looking a bit confused and dazed. He seemed very young, like a college student, maybe not even in his 3rd year. Philadelphia and Penny were working together to move a large obstacle blocking the camp entrance. Philadelphia was moving quickly and speaking in a relaxed tone, asking questions. This was important so that the new player understood who he was and didn't accidentally say something inappropriate like Sam did before. Fortunately, Leon responded quickly. Although he still looked shocked, he immediately helped move the obstacle. When Philadelphia hugged him with tears in her eyes, he responded naturally. "My poor child, how much hardship have you endured? It's so good that you found this place and are still alive. Your father died of illness 3 months ago. Now only your sister Penny and your brother George are here. It's hard here, but at least it's a family. Are you hungry? Mom has cooked meat, vegetables, and porridge." Leon nodded repeatedly but didn't dare speak, perhaps afraid of revealing too much. Penny then stepped forward and slapped Leon on the back of his head. "Good boy. We were worried when you fell behind earlier. Mom cried for days. I didn't expect you to catch up. That's great." Leeway also stepped forward, hugging Leon after Penny. "Mia fell behind too. Did you meet her on the way?" Leon shook his head wildly and stammered. "No, I didn't." He was speaking Chinese, just like Leeway, so there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. A fellow villager. Too bad. It's not very useful. Once he understood the game rules and realized the others were players, he would be surprised. Leeway was still looking forward to it. He wondered which of Leon or Sam was more impressive. After exchanging greetings and having breakfast, he carried his axe and went to cut trees. This month, Logging is his main task, and he must work quickly. Otherwise, once the weed is ready, he will have to stop all other work. As for his future fiancée, Macy, he has no hope or plans to get too close. Currently, Penny contributes the most to the family. Fila is second, and he is third. It will become harder to compete for the family head position, so he needs to protect his own position. For this logging, he only cut small trees about 10 to 15 centimeters thick. His plan was to cut 50 trees first to meet the building expansion needs. He also needs more wood to expand the fence. While thinking about these things, Leeway was chopping vigorously. He is much stronger now, with enough strength and stamina, and his body has adapted. In less than 2 hours, he easily felled 5 trees. Wiping sweat, he was about to return to the camp to get some cool boiled water when he suddenly looked up and saw a woman standing outside the forest. She has brown hair, freckles on her face, is a bit overweight, and has a decent figure, but overall, she looks a little unattractive. Leeway was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds before he realized what was happening. Oh, this must be his fiancée, Macy. She looks really unattractive. Reality is not like a novel. Beautiful women are not rare. Wait a moment. Currently, no one is at the camp. Penny went mining, and Fila took Leon fishing and gathering. So, she probably wandered around inside and outside the camp before finding this place. Has she already figured out everything? Thinking of this, Leeway finally forced a surprised expression, ready to say a few lines to remind this new player not to say silly things. But before he could speak, Macy, the new player, was already so excited that tears streamed down her face. She rushed over like a bird flying into its nest, crying loudly as if she had suffered much hardship and injustice. Finally seeing her closest person. George, it's so good, George. It's really you. I almost thought I would never see you again. Boo-hoo. Leeway froze instantly, sweating profusely. This is a seasoned, experienced player who has definitely completed the game at least once. She has the right to know her own identity and all the family relationships. The new player, on the other hand, doesn't even know his own name or family ties. But why did she reveal that she is an experienced player? Compared to her, Leeway's acting is clumsy and awkward. It's not that he lost control because this woman threw herself at him, but because he knew everything was fake. Yet, how could she not see any signs of acting in his performance? He only stiffly pats her back and says, it's okay, while she performs like a top actress, making Leeway look pale and weak. If there were a camera or an audience watching, he would be the target of ridicule. He really wants to stop, but he can't. He just stares blankly at her flowing, intense performance. It's impressive. Her acting is so skillful and powerful, it makes him think about how strong and dominant she must be in other areas. Leeway suddenly realizes that next month's family head position might be lost to Penny. George. At this moment, Michaela lets out a long sigh, her eyes full of tears as she looks at Leeway. She isn't very pretty, but her deep emotion and intense performance make Leeway feel like he's facing a serious threat, even causing a slight physical reaction. Damn it! Just as Leeway tries to push her away, she escapes first, blushing and shy. Her gaze, wow, she's a master. George, I'm hungry. Why aren't Philadelphia, Penny, and Uncle Anson here? He passed away, unfortunately. Philadelphia and Penny are fine, and Leon has returned. I'll go cook for you, Leeway answers honestly. George, you're so kind, but I can't let you cook for me. You've already worked hard chopping trees. Are you planning to settle in Vale Province? That house is so well built. Did you build it, George? Michaela smoothly changes the subject, gently wiping Leeway's sweat. Wow, see that? The skills of an experienced player are truly astonishing. However, this also shows that experienced players only know about the story and character relationships, but they don't know the other players' professions. So, they're just probing. But this information isn't very important. Everyone will find out eventually. The most important thing is that she is his fiancée in the story,